Oh, good morning. Okay. So great to have everybody here again. We do have an interesting weekend with one person getting engaged. So Anthony got engaged. He's on a vacation with family in Park City right now. And he made the sale, guys.
Finally.
Anthony made the sale. He finally learned, Cutco skills, right? You know what I'm saying? Okay. So got engaged last night. I said, fine, you can be with your family. And we have a couple other family vacations, spring break things going on. So it's a pleasure to have you here. And, we got a great meeting. So Bucky, Patrick in the house. Jesse will be joining us here shortly. Again, some family stuff going on down in St. George. So we have a couple other people, like I said, spring break and things like that. But it's a pleasure to have everybody here. Welcome to those of you that are on Zoom. We wish you were in person, but we're letting it fly, so to speak, today, and it's great to have everybody. We're gonna have a great meeting. Okay, so let me just really quickly do a little recognition. This is pretty freaking fired up. I didn't pull up the.
Can you fix the Zoom?
Oh, come on. All right. Got it. Okay. So it's awful blurry. Is it blurry for you guys? Let me see if I can reshare that. It's not optimized for video, so I don't understand why it's not sharing so beautifully. But let's here, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna stop sharing and then I'm gonna restart sharing. And you talking to yourself, buddy? Okay. All right. I don't know, it might be clearer. More clear. So without even bringing this on the screen, I will say for President's Banquet, we got some pretty awesome things. You guys know there's 5 offices in our division. Currently, anyone over 20K is being, basically recognized, meaning the company's like, yeah, they're probably going to P Banquet. We'll put them on the report, if that makes sense. I know it sounds weird, but they can only fit so many offices on a piece of paper, if that makes sense, right? And so right now, Shay is around the 25% of the way to President's Banquet. If you guys don't know, what we spend to go on a cruise for a week or 8 days, what we spend to go to Rome for 7 days, you guys know we're going to Rome, right? I think you all know that, right? What they spend in 7 or 8 days is what they spend on every manager that qualifies to go to President's Banquet. So the cruise or Rome is a year-long contest, and the company spends X amount of dollars getting people to Rome, and on that person as a trip as a reward. The President's Banquet is only a 4-month campaign, only a 4-month contest, and it's a lot less CPO than a 365-day CPO, right? Does that make sense? And yet they spend more in 3 days in Vegas. The bill is almost $1,000 per person just for one dinner. To give you guys an idea of how much they spend on the managers that qualify. All 5 of our managers are currently, by the way, we get a full, day in the spa with a massage that costs $300 for the massage. 1 hour massage is like $250. And then, you get the spa. It's a couple of amazing meals, the 2 evenings, and then you just have a $150 room credit, so you can go and get whatever food you want and do whatever except gamble. They literally give you a $150 credit, and then they always send you like a couple $100 worth of gifts. We get this bath sheet. It's not a towel, it's a bath sheet. It's taller than your dad. Okay, it's massive, and I have like 12 of them, and it's awesome. I only have 12 because a lot of them have worn out in all these years. Okay, yeah, your wife stole your bath sheet. Yeah, so yeah, so Anna gets the bath sheet, and that's fine. That's fine. Okay, let her have it. Okay, so yep, there you go. Happy wife, sell a knife. Okay, so check it out. So Shay is 25% of the way to President's Banquet right now. So let's give Shay a 1 clap. 1, 2, 3. And then right now, Jesse is he's in the mix. He might make it. He might make it. No, he's at 50,000. You have to do $100,000 in the fall. It's funny, he's number 4 office, but he's at $50,000. So that's pretty awesome. So let's give him a 1 clap. 1, 2, 3. And then Patrick is $162 or some $100 or a few hundred. Right. No. So it's Jesse. You're only about a little above Jesse. So you're number 3 in the entire division. So let's give Patrick a round of applause. Okay. So that's awesome. And then Bucky is currently at about 68,000, I want to say $69,000. So he's with only 7 weeks of the 17 to win the competition. He's at 70 grand. Okay. So that's That's also pretty awesome. Okay, so let's give Bucky a round of applause. That's awesome. Congratulations. And then currently Salt Lake City is at 78 grand. So you can all applause. I mean, just just give it to me. Come on, come on, come on. Just no, just okay. I won't make you do that. Okay. We just recognized Jesse for being at $50,000 in the President's Banquet saying, here's the Silver Cup standings. I want to keep moving here. But by the way, let's do a round of applause for Salt Lake City because you might know I've been out of town left and right doing a lot of things. And Kenzie, as a brand spanking new, literally been a pilot sales manager for 35, officially 35 days. Was that 7 weeks times 7? 49 days. Sorry, we're doing the math wrong. 49 days she's been the pilot sales manager, and we're at about 80 grand in sales for the campaign. So let's give Kenzie a round of applause, okay? So you don't need to applause for, give me applause. I don't need that, but Kenzie does. She's going to be here any minute, and she gets to walk all the way. She gets to do the walk of shame and walk all the way to the front row and sit next to Ethan and walk in front of everybody so that she feels bad for being late. Okay, and she's listening as we speak right now. So anyway, so now year to date, Bucky and Provo team just stepped above the Omaha team. So number 3 now, this happened this week, if I'm not mistaken, maybe was the last report. So this is the second report that's come out that Provo's been on top of Omaha. So for 6 months, Omaha was number 1, if I'm not mistaken. And then over the course of the summer, Jesse and team and Bucky now have stepped above the Omaha office. And I'll tell you, that is a heated, even though they're all best friends, heated competition with Provo, Omaha, Oak Brook, and Southern Rockies. But let's give Provo for a hand for being number 3. Okay. And then this is pretty intense because it could be anyone's office if someone decided to step up across the region. Any one of those offices could be Silver Cup winner. But right now, currently sitting in the Silver Cup spot, the number 1 spot, can we just not let Edmond, freaking Oklahoma City down at the bottom? I leave him on the report because he's a previous division manager, but he's a district manager now doing a special thing with our company, doing some other things with the events program, but now 14 grand ahead of, they're ahead of us in recruiting and ahead of Salt Lake, but they're ahead of Salt Lake, Southern Rockies just barely in sales. So while he's probably going to win the Silver Cup in that race, this is last year's top 20. Of course, only 10 are on this report because, last year's top 20, they'll put all 20 on the list. But the last year's top 20 are in a special Silver Cup race. And currently in that category, Bucky and Provo is number 3, and Jesse is number 1 in the company. So let's give Southern Rockies a round of applause. And I would just love to see, even though it might win a Silver Cup, I don't want to see Nick beat Southern Rockies. I love Nick to death. I mean, I'm going to go snowboarding and probably with this season, but I still want to see Jesse beat them. And then Salt Lake City, again, Kenzie and Patrick. This is 100% Patrick as well as Kenzie over the last a year. But we're at number 1 and we're pulling, gaining ground, 37, 38 grand ahead of the Miami team. So Salt Lake City and Kenzie, let's give them a round of applause. That's pretty fired up. And that's Kenzie and that's Bree and that's everyone in the Salt Lake City organization that's taken part in that, which is again Kenzie and Kenzie Smith and Jesse. What's your name? Patrick. Okay. So and then Ethan and Parker and Connor and everyone that's been a part of Salt Lake City all year. So that's pretty fired up. Let's keep moving here. Here's our agenda for the day, just so everyone knows and everyone has it. And you can, thank you so much. You love them, Jesse, like a rash. Okay. So that's how much he loves, Edmund. Okay, just kidding. All right, so we got a guest speaker coming on in about 17 minutes, so I'm going to rip through this, and then Kenzie's going to speak to us, and then we've got SMRA sourcing, which is going to be really fun, a great opportunity for all of us. Do some interview work, and we're going to talk about training and how we get ready for that walk of shame over here. There you go, walk of shame, everybody. Okay, so all right, good. And then for the time being, for inbounds, just let them just text. Okay, that makes sense. All right. That's great. Thanks, Shay and Patrick and Bucky and for fun. They're responding. Okay, good. And then we're gonna talk about winter break. Did I mention we have a competition and a trip and other things coming up in January. So what's the objectives of today? If you can't tell from the agenda itself, go ahead and pull up a seat there, Jens and Spence. Today's outcomes, setting up for the winter break program. Guys, the miniature summer, okay? And there is a spot right there, Spencer. You can sit there. Okay. Anyways, and setting up for an awesome winter break. And then we're going to really work on our interview and our recruiting, social media in particular, program, social media recruiting program, and then also, some inspiration, some action. Oh, we're going to have some lunch too. I'm excited about lunch. Okay. There you go. Connor's got his spot right there, but you can fit in there, Spence, just move forward. All right, good. 1 year from today, take out your notes. I hope you already had your notes open. So take out your notes, and I'd like you to take just 2 minutes here and think about, and this is for Kenzie, for Bree, for Ashley, for Saul, Jesse, and love it. Okay. All right. So what would you have liked to have earned, learned, achieved in the next 365 days? How would you like to feel a year from now? There's 1 or 2 of you are going to be on a mission. But the rest of you, right? Where do you want to be? Would you like to be getting ready to go to Rome? I'm sorry, would you already have liked to have come home from Rome? Or come home from the cruise? I'm sorry, you come home from the cruise, getting ready for Rome, having qualified for a trip to Rome. What else? Where do you want to be GPA wise? Where do you want to be relationship wise? Where do you want to be again, money and savings? Just let it go to voicemail. Yeah, just text. Okay, for now. And again, I hope district managers are taking part in this as well. So all people involved in this meeting, writing down some vision. Mm-hmm. He's working on it. He's working on it. Okay.
I thought you said amen.
You said amen, right?
DM.
He said amen. All right.
Hallelujah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's feeling the spirit. Okay. What would be some things you want to be talking about, thinking about? What would be some things you would have liked to have achieved? Again, having run a successful branch office, having qualified for a trip to Rome, having qualified for a trip to Mexico, having a certain GPA, a certain amount of money in savings, maybe an investment property.
Really nice to have an extra money come in. You don't have to work for it. Investment properties are nice. Paid off investment property, even better.
There you go.
Hmm.
All right. So some vision for Salt Lake City, for Intermountain Division, I have, right? Over $5 million. We're going to come close to $5 million this year, right? So I don't doubt that we'll be on pace for a $6 million division during 2026. If we're not over 5 million, I'd be really surprised in 2026. We're not going to, we have a shot at hitting 5 million in 2025, right? Which we didn't think we would even a year ago, right? But we are definitely on pace to potentially hit 5 million. However, 2026 should be a slam dunk for $5 million. And again, what's always fun with when you're a district manager, you can take as much of the pie as you want, right? You can take as much of the pie as you want when you're a CSP. You can take as much of the pie as you want when you're a branch manager, right? Branch manager, we want our new manager class being over 100 grand in average sales per office, right? $2 million plus Salt Lake City, right? $1 million plus in at least one, if not multiple districts. Of course, to have a $1.5 million district, you have to have multiple offices in your district, right? And then we want a couple, 2 or 3 district managers being over $500,000 to $750,000 in 2026, right? We want our, pace of startup money, right, and savings for all of our managers for 2027, essentially, a year from now. These are things that are on my mind, right? And on pace for a $7 million division, potentially a double silver cup office, right? For example. Now, this is something that I'm going to give you a small vision of. This comes right from the mouth of our region manager. A lot of you met him, Mike Murrell, in Olean. But here's something I want to share with you, okay? By the end of November, and I'd write these things down, okay? if you're a manager in training in the room, right, or in the Zoom, what are the things? One, by the end of next month, you want to have an amazing interview. As you can see, one way you want to put it, you can put it however you want to put it. Okay. But to have an amazing interview, as you can tell, this is just a screenshot. So by the end of November, you want to have a really awesome interview where you're getting a 50 plus show to training and a 60 to 70% launch, right? As even if you're not running the training, right? Sometimes assistant managers are like, well, how do I make my launch percentage better? Well, your manager is going to run the same training, but the people that show with the right mentality, right? Okay. And thank you. And then by the end of December, something, especially for all of our district managers, should be a slam dunk, but also for managers in training, we want you to have scripted training, right? So we have 2.5 months to work on these things. And then in January, February, and March, we want you to be running training seminars, okay? For example, all of our managers will be on a cruise. Well, we want to have a training during that week. That's a great opportunity. During your spring break, another great opportunity. Potentially around and before and during the before and after, excuse me, the winter break push when you can win the trip to Mexico. Okay, so here we go over the winter break. So here's what I want to show. Oh, I did the effects wrong. Anyway, so here's we want to put that question in last, okay? This is an example of a few summers ago. 25 branch managers profited over 25 grand. Now there's usually a couple hundred branch managers, but to have 25 of them profit over 25 grand, 61 profiting over 15,000, 90 over 10 grand, and even 136 over 5 grand profit after they paid their bills for the summer, to have 5 grand in the bank profited. And it's actually more than that. That's profit, obviously. Okay. So great. That's not easy, is my point, right? Hopefully the answer is no, right? The answer to how do you do that is branching is hard, right? Here are some examples. For time's sake, I'm not going to go this. We have to keep moving here, but I want to share with you. You guys know a little bit about the branch manager pay. When a rep is at just this, first little bit, there's a certain revenue percentage, and there's an estimated amount of expenses, right? What's neat, and if you want to get a screenshot, feel free to get a screenshot. And then I'm going to go ahead and say that in our division, we have a slight advantage. Of course, there are a number of divisions in our region that have this advantage in that we run branches in what a lot of people would consider small town America, like Midwest and, small, rural Utah, people call it. I can't even say that, rural Utah. Okay. Where we run branches, some of this is silly expenses and some of it's no way. In other words, we had Park City under this threshold in rent this summer. Park City. And then downtown Ogden, which is starting to be bigger and better and even more exciting, city of its own. It used to be, a lot of people considered not the best place in Utah. And to this, it was pretty amazing to have both branches under $3,000 in some pretty rather more expensive territories comparatively to the rest of Utah. And both branch managers were under that. So you won't spend that much in rent. In conferences, it should be almost a zero, right? And then as far as I'll explain what this means later, but for time's sake, you shouldn't spend much money on sample kits, and you shouldn't spend that much money miscellaneously. You guys know what miscellaneous expenses are. They're things you're going to probably deduct on your taxes, but they're not really expenses. They're just things that you can legally deduct, but they're not necessarily things you wouldn't have done otherwise. Okay, right. And so, the exciting thing is district managers make more than branches in a summer, let alone over the course of a year. Remember, the revenue, what branch managers have coming in is exciting. You get $6,000 when you branch. You get mailers, which is a wash. In other words, you get the money, but you spend the money, so you don't see it, but it turns into profit. In fact, our guest speaker today had a really good result from mailers this last summer. And then if you're an average branch manager in the central region, you're going to do over $70,000. And this is a rather low revenue percentage. Usually it's around 22%. But even at 19% revenue, what that means is depending on who's at $1,000 and $2,000 and $5,000 in sales, how much you revenue as a branch manager, right? But it's a rough estimate right there and a conservative estimate at that. And when your assistant manager sells, you don't make quite as much because they are selling at you know, a higher percentage, so your percentage is a little lower. But we'll call it, even if an AM only sells $5,000 over the course of 4 months, right? You're still making a little bit of money, and then you personally can sell anywhere from 0 to 20, 30 grand in the summer, and we've had branches sell more than that. But when you make 50% of that, you have some pretty exciting revenue over the course of a summer. Okay. And it's actually, if you do the math on that, revenue is going to be over $30,000 potentially. Right. And then there's you know, what I just showed you on this slide, right? The expenses. Okay. So for time's sake, I'll move on. But I want to go ahead and mention, did I mention there's a trip to Cancun coming up? Does everyone here know we're going to Cancun? It's not Cabo for the first time in 5 years. So, which is pretty exciting. We are now not going to Cabo, and we're in fact going to a hotel that I was at in May. Okay, so this is great in Cancun. We're going to the Hard Rock in Cancun. I said, hey, just so you know, this would be a place I think our region would really, really love. And they're like, okay, okay. And we had been there one time with like 12 or 14 people, like not the whole region. Like literally, it was like 10 reps, me and Mike. That was it. And we went there and we loved it. And it kind of got forgotten because everyone loves the Cabo Hotel so much. So everyone's like, we're going to Cabo, we're going to Cabo. So we finally changed it. We're going to Cancun. Okay. And district division office managers, we don't know the number yet. Okay. Here is the trip. Here's the view from my room, from our room. I can't remember if this was this. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're the other side. But I think you were in Tulum though. You weren't in. You were. This is. You went to Cancun though? Oh, I thought you said you. Oh, it was. Okay, I gotcha. All right, I didn't know that. Okay.
The bottom that actually you could swim up to and actually get your drinks.
Well, that's yeah.
It's called a virgin.
It's a
We're like, holy moly,
yeah. We added pineapple juice and we had pineapple mojitos the entire Memorial Day week. Okay, my wife and I. So, not one upping you, but I'm giving you the tip. I'm giving you the tip. Get the pineapple mojito, pineapple virgin mojito. Okay. Yes, it's amazing. Okay. So now at sunset, this is what the place looks like. Okay. And it was this, you know how the pictures never do it justice. This was mind-boggling. It was an awesome view, right? Straight out the front. So this is the front door looking west, and this is the back, you know, if you will, the back door looking east. Okay. The back side of the hotel, which is the ocean side, right? Again, right there on the beach, you got this Hard Rock Hotel. All right. For time's sake, I'm going to jump past the syllabus. You guys know we've talked about this syllabus, and you were in Olean, you got this. And there's, you know, 6 main things to help you be a successful branch manager. And I will cover these 6 momentarily, you know, at the end, you know, in a little while here. But I want to talk about 2 more things, and then I'm going to introduce our guest speaker. Okay. First thing I want to talk about is the letter of commitment. And so go ahead and jot this down. Some of you and I, we've talked about your letter of commitment, and we've talked about what you're doing. I love the fact that we have district managers writing that are already district managers that write letters of commitment, right? So every year, Nick Leindecker, for example, one of the previous and not current, but I think he might be current, but I can't remember, assistant division managers, ADVMs in our company, and a very well-seasoned division manager. Every 3 years, he writes a letter of commitment, and he doesn't need to write a letter of commitment because he's already got the job, right? And so it's commitment to himself and commitment to the region and a commitment to the region manager and his division manager, Dane, saying, I'm here, I'm in, you know what I mean? And whether it's a 3-year commitment to non-smoking, right? Think about, you know, addicts and how they commit to doing certain things and they, you know, come out of recovery and they commit, right? So there is something to be said about putting things out in the universe that you're going to, you're going to do, right? So when it comes to a vector letter of commitment, we got some people here that are letters, you know, that are candidates. You know, if you're over 35 and you're born in the United States of America, you're a candidate for president of the United States, but you may not be running for president of the United States. You guys understand that? But if you're 35 and born in the US, you could be president of the United States, but you have to make a decision that you're going to run, so to speak, right? And a letter of commitment is basically an opportunity and a decision to say, I'm in. I'm going after it for whatever the reasons, and there should be many. So when you're writing a letter of commitment, Parker Thomas, when you're writing a letter of commitment, Kenzie Ritter, Bree Foster, right? Patrick wrote his letter, Bucky wrote his letter, Shay wrote her letter, I wrote my letter, Jesse wrote his letter, right? You know, it's what's the position you're vying for, you know, planning on, you know, going after is the role. Is it branch manager? Is it district manager? What is it? Okay. what's the position you're going for, and then what are the goals that you have in that role? Why, excuse me, do you want to do this? And what are you going to commit to doing? Again, it could be 4 sentences like this one, okay? And actually, I'll skip ahead to that in a minute. In fact, yeah, there's Matt Ballard. Okay, look at that pathetic, just unbelievable. That's maybe worse than Phil Bollander's handwriting. Okay, and there's not many things worse than Phil Bollander's handwriting. You can read most of that. It's probably better than mine. Is it better?
Definitely better.
It's better than my handwriting. Okay, fine. All right. But Matt ran 100,000. Matt ran $100,000 plus branch office. Okay, stay with me, guys. But you know, he ran $100,000 plus branch office, and you know, won a trip and that type of thing. Now here is Kenzie Ritter's. She chose not to use and show off her handwriting. Here's Kenzie Ritter's branch letter of commitment that she turned in just a couple of days ago. And then here is Anthony Radels, who's you know, got engaged last night. So I said he didn't have to be here today. But you know, he made the sale, so to speak. Okay. And this is his letter of commitment that he planned. So it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be, you know, the Declaration of Independence or the, you know, Gettysburg Address. But, you know, this is an example. But I do want to recognize Anthony and Kenzie. So let's give them a round of applause. They turn in their letters of commitment. That's awesome. And then we have, I wanted to share with you guys a vision or a vision about vision, if that's okay. So our next speaker, we have 2 slides and then I'll introduce our guest speaker. But I want to share with you guys what I'm going to call the ABCs of vision. And this is kind of interesting. I don't know how well this is going to hit with everybody here. And I say that because this is one of those moments. You ever have that dream, like you wake up and you like feel like you just had a revelation? You ever have that? Like you wake up and you're inspired. This was one of those moments a couple of days ago for me. And that's why I'm sharing it today. Okay. And so this is a little bit personal, but I'm going to share with you the ABCs that this came to me as I woke up the other day, like 5 days ago or something like that. So I'm going to give you the ABCs of what I called it ABCs because 3 words came to me, if that makes sense. Okay. And so I want to start with the C and go to the B and then the A, if that makes sense. Okay. It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense to me. All right. So if you want to write down C, and this comes a little bit from Hal Elrod. And when he got hit by a drunk driver head on, and then his car flipped, he got hit by another car. He was clinically dead for 6 minutes, and they revived him, and he had to learn how to walk. And they were saying you would never walk again. And within a month or so, he was walking. Okay. And then we have the Miracle Morning, you know, on his 3rd book, if you will. And the concept is you can't change it. So when it comes to vision, sometimes we're in a place that can't be changed. My results are what they are. I'm only at 25 grand for President's Banquet. I've only sold X amount of Cutco. I'm only at 1,000 in startup right now. Or I'm only at a GPA or a life situation. I got divorced, right? Whatever it might be. You can't change what's already happened. Is everyone with me? And sometimes the best thing you can do is face the truth, face the facts. I ran a branch and I only did this much CPO. You guys realize in about 7 weeks, Patrick's going to match what he did in an entire summer as a branch manager. In 7 weeks of being a district manager, which is not the normal time to open, which is not the time that any district manager is usually doing what a branch will do in a summer, to do that in 7 weeks. Sometimes you have to face the facts, right? And say, well, I'm not going to dwell on it, but it's going to be my past. It's going to be what happened, right? And sometimes along with can't change it, it's you have to give yourself and others who may have wronged you, another person in business, another person in life. It could be your ex-spouse. It could be an ex-boyfriend, an ex-girlfriend. And you have to give grace. So under C, can't change it. Sometimes the first thing we can do is forgive. Forgive ourselves, forgive other people, move on from what in the past may have been a problem, and let go of the past. How many of you guys can admit to yourself you need to let go of the past in some ways? Right? And actually think, wow, I'm glad that happened because now I can learn from it. I failed at my push period, right? Something like that. Okay. So that's the C, right? The B is better. And the good news is we can't work on the past, but we can work on the what? Right? We can work on the present. And we have to see it better. This is straight out of Business Mastery. It cost me $12,000 to go to Business Mastery with Tony Robbins. And I already knew this concept, but it hit me really well a year ago when I went to Business Mastery. And a visionary person, a person who's building something important, they see it better than it is today. Okay, they see it. We can work on things today with some focus. It's worth the focus to see things better than it is today, whether it's Shay, whether it's Bucky, whether it's Jesse, whether it's Patrick, whether it's myself or Kenzie, or whether it's someone who I just need to sell more than $1,000 this week because I haven't sold $1,000 in a week in the last 6 weeks, right? It requires us to focus, but the idea is that growth or progress becomes happiness. You guys have heard that concept too in our region, right? So it gives us power to push through when we can just see things better than they are today. We can act and not be overwhelmed. Because none of you are going to have $10,000 if you don't have $10,000 in startup already. You're not going to have $10,000 in startup tomorrow. But can you get $500 more in startup this week? Can you get $500 more in startup in the next 2 weeks, right? Can you change your sales results just in the next 2 weeks? You might be like, man, how am I going to sell 100 grand in the next 10 weeks? Well, how about selling 1,000 as soon as possible? And then sell another 1,000 as soon as possible, right? And then sell another 1,000 as soon as possible, right? That could be an office or a rep doing 100 grand in the next 10 weeks, right? So, and we have to live in the present. We get to live in the present. Let me rephrase that. We get to live in the present. We don't have to live in the past. And we don't need to be overcome or overwhelmed by the future, but we get to live in the present. And I'm going to encourage you with regards to the better or to the present, I'm going to encourage you to be present and be in the present. And as they say, be the present. Okay, that was meant to be a joke in the, be the present. Okay. Don't pop out of anybody's birthday's cake tonight, okay, guys? All right. So we got the C, we got the B, we got the A, right? And the A, I literally put down awesome. Okay. And what I mean by that is the vision of your future does need to be awesome. If you don't have an awesome vision of your future, now you're just wallowing in the present. You're not looking for a progress today. You're not looking for 5 more phone calls, 10 more phone calls, 1 more sale. You're not looking for anything. You're not working out, probably. You're not thinking about your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health. You're just wallowing and wondering why you're even here in the business or whatever you want to call it. You got in school, right? If you don't have a vision for what you're going to do with your degree, then why are you spending money on tuition, right? You have to think, I know what I want to be, or at least get my degree in, and it's really important to me, and that is why I'm going to pay my tuition, and I'm going to work hard in this day today because I see an awesome future by getting that degree, by getting, running a branch office, by becoming a leader in Vector, by being a household name in Vector, being top 5 in the Silver Cup race, or whatever it might be. Right? I'm just going to read this because I want to move on. Having a desired long-term outcome. Long-term can be 1 year, it could be 10 years, right? But having a desired long-term outcome or vision that's better than today and certainly better than yesterday, right? There's actually no willpower needed now. I don't need to will myself out of bed. And I'm not trying to say I'm perfect. There are people that accomplish more. They do whatever better than me. I know that, right? But I don't have a hard time getting out of bed because I know where I want to be. Does everyone understand that? I know that my physical health, my mental and spiritual health, before I talk to any of you, is taken care of in the morning because of the miracle morning. It's not hard for me to get out of bed. It's actually my favorite part of the day, getting out of bed. Because now I get to work on me and I get to do the things that will bring me endorphins and bring me, positive emotions. It's easy to do the today things when the tomorrow that I'm looking for is on its way. Is everyone with me on that? It's easy to do the today things when the things I want to see tomorrow, I can see them. I'm not usually a guy to quote this person because I actually know a story and I'll have to tell it to Jesse someday. because I know Jesse and Jacob really love this guy. But Alex Hormozy, I'm not usually going to quote him, but I'll have to tell you a story another time. But he says, whatever your goal is, you will suffer to achieve it. You'll go through hell to achieve it. If you have that goal, like if your goal is what it is, you're willing to suffer. Is everyone with me on that? And suffer might not be the word. Struggle, strive, press forward with steadfastness. You're willing to do it all. Okay. So pick a goal worth suffering for. Pick a goal that's worth pressing forward for. Pick a goal. So when we just wrote down some of those goals, maybe even right now, you're thinking differently than you were 20 minutes ago. Right? And I hope that you're thinking that way. But again, I'll read the quote. Whatever your goal is, you'll suffer to achieve it. So pick a goal that's worth suffering for. Let me go back to sharing screens. Give a slide or two, and I'll introduce our speaker. Okay. The ABCs of vision. Can't change the past, right? Got to see today even better, and got to have a compelling vision. Got to have a compelling, forward-thinking, what's my future going to be? And now it's easy to do the small things today, worth doing the small things today. You don't need willpower to do the small things today because you have something you want that's better in the future. Important that you have that vision as a district manager on down the line in this room. A brand new district manager, been around 2 years district manager, been around 10 years district manager. Vital to your success. Now, who's seen this funnel before? Do we all know our job as management is to get as many people from the beginning of the funnel down through and launching and selling Cutco, right? So what are the skill sets? First, it's creating touches. After we create touches, we get people into interviews, right? Then we run great interviews. This is just a restatement of the funnel. Run great training, right, Brady? And then we work with our reps and help them sell a lot of Cutco and get a great experience in Cutco. If we're not doing any of those things, we're missing it. And that funnel is now less efficient. Everyone can buy into that, right? Whoops, I'll fix that for you. There you go, if you want the screenshot. All right. Now, again, if we're not doing some of that well, there's some inefficiencies. The funnel gets thinner sooner. Is everyone with me on that? Okay. So that being said, let me just remind you the first job is to what? We got to create touches, fill the funnel. And that comes with creating touches and then getting people scheduled for interviews. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about social media success. So in your notes, I'd write a line, do what you got to do. And we're going to spotlight our guest speaker. This is Brady Anderson, guys. I'm super excited to have him here. And I will, did I just unspotlight myself? Well, probably keep me up on Spotlight too. So how do I add? Okay, good. So we're both there. All right, awesome. So Brady Anderson, it was a Cabo San Lucas qualifier. Hopefully he's excited to win the trip to Cancun. And maybe my little pep talk about Cancun. Guys, there's more I'll tell you about Cancun. I'll say one more thing. There's pretty much karaoke every day in Cancun. Okay, so that's awesome. And when we were there, this was actually pretty fun. I've seen Coldplay in concert 3 times, I want to say. And they do this amazing, crazy hype show. Like, it's awesome. And while we were there, there was a band, a local Cancun band that did a whole Coldplay show. Like, they sang all these Coldplay songs, and there's a theater, and every night Anthony didn't know this in Cabo, but pretty much any all-inclusive resort, the staff of the hotel, the resort, put on a show every single night. And the old people just eat it up. And then the young people are like, okay, let me move on, right? But it was an awesome concert. That was, and they were pretty talented, and they did a really great Coldplay show at this show. And it was over the weekend that we were there. So I'm thinking that it's potentially either Sunday night or Monday night, which we will be there Sunday night and Monday night and Tuesday night in Cancun. So you never know what the shows are going to be, but this one was pretty awesome, and I hope they do it again because I think it was pretty fun. But anyways, just a little advertisement for Cancun. Back to Brady here. He was the Cedar Rapids, Iowa branch manager. You can already read 50 recruits this summer, 69,000, just under $70,000 in sales. He launched 13 people from social media. In other words, 25%. That's what I would write down. 25% of his office recruits for the summer came from social media. Now, what's really exciting is our division already has about 40 to 47% of our division recruits came from PRs, personal recruits. And what's cool is we were discussing this on the division staff meeting on Wednesday. Social media doesn't take from PRs. It's a totally separate element of the business of filling the funnel. And so if we were to get to that many recruits, 25% of our recruits from social media, we're not going to lose much on the PR program. We'll only probably gain more PRs, which means the idea in our division is that social media will be growth for the division. Okay. So growth recruits, it's worth writing it down if you're a district manager. Okay. Growth recruits. Okay. For our division, social media will be the growth in recruiting this summer. Okay. Which if you're an assistant manager, you're going to be a part of this. If you're a branch manager, you're going to be a part of this. If you're a district manager, you're going to be a part of it. Pilot sales manager, division office manager, rather, and division manager. We will all be a part of the social media growth in the Intermountain division. So Brady is like, well, I can share some points, but I'd love to do some Q&A as well. So you guys know that there's essentially two parts. I'll say this, and then I'll let Brady share some thoughts, and then we'll do some Q&A. Is that cool, guys? So there's two main parts or segments of the social media recruiting success that our whole company, all managers that are succeeding at social media recruiting, they have basically two main areas of recruiting. One is SMRA. So if you guys don't know, that's social media recruiting assistance. So that's a person who's literally kind of a department of their own where they're helping us get recruits from social media, and they are a paid recruiting assistant. Is everyone with me on that? So SMRA is part of it. And the second part is what and many of you know about because you've done it yourself, but it's only a small level of what can be done as far as putting up a post. In other words, how many of you guys have posted in social media about the job, right, at a team meeting or something like that? When you're doing it, you're already a Cutco person, right? And your friends that are in your network, they already know about you. They already know you're selling Cutco. So when they see, they're like, oh, that's cute. Peyton's posting about the social media, about the knife job, right? But when someone who doesn't necessarily even work here posts about the program, then where there's even greater, impact that can be felt when you do a good, what we call PUAP, PUAP, putting up a post, okay, program. So with that in mind, I'm going to let Brady take it away with his thoughts on social media recruiting. So let's go ahead and hit that up. Let's give Brady a hand for helping us out here today. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much, sir.
I got some slides. Nothing too crazy here, but should be fun. And also, this is the first time I heard about going to Cancun, so that's pretty exciting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
looking
Make sure
forward to
you go to
that.
your TLA with Dane and talk about hey, I heard this something from Phil. Okay, so
Yeah, no, that's fun. That's good stuff. But just some simple stuff for social media with the summer here. So, what it really comes down to, I think it's very similar to fire, is what I think about it. Okay. Um, with social media, in order to be good at this, you have to have a good Instagram account for messaging, is my biggest thing. Just because if you don't have a good Instagram account for messaging, then it's kind of like people won't reply to you, things like that, and it kind of just breaks down the system a little bit. Um, so with this, let me talk about the ground rules of what I think a good Instagram account is for messaging for like SMRA and post to begin with. So first off, the account that you want to be using should be located in your territory. Okay. Now, hopefully, your territory is a little bit closer than what mine was this past summer. I had to drive 5 hours away from home. So it was a little bit difficult for me to get an account in my territory to begin with. But that should be your main focus just because those connections are going to be the best with like the following stuff like that. So get an account in your territory, whatever account you're going to message off of. I also recommend at least 750 followers for the account. Just gives you a baseline of activity to go from, following, followers, things like that. So 750 followers. The account should be active posting, so that doesn't mean like they're posting every single day, but they have like posts up in like the past couple months, right? They have a good amount of posts, things like that. I would just use your best judgment in that like regards. And typically, which we'll kind of talk about here in a second, the person should be sociable, athlete, smart, whatever their strength is. Just because those are the people who they're going to be reaching out to or throwing up posts, and their following are going to be the same people, right? Birds of a feather flock together. I'm sure you guys have probably heard that a million times with the PR program. So if your person or account that you're using to throw up a post or messaging off of, um, should be a top person just because the people who they're reaching out to are also going to be top people as well, lead into your top prospects and recruits. And what a good account leads to, though, is better message reply rate. Okay, so what I mean by this is when you're sending messages for your SMRA, like leads, trying to figure out who's interested in the position to, help your business, you want to have the best message reply rate as possible. Okay, so if I send 10 messages out, hopefully I should get one reply. Or if you have like a really good account, I'd say it's about 8 messages for reply. Okay, and those things matter because if you have a bad message reply rate, you're gonna burn through all of your handles that you got from the summer, or excuse me, from the prep work, excuse me. Right? So a good Instagram account is gonna lead to a better message to reply rate, which you're gonna be more happy. You're gonna have more leads, more people to reply to you. Okay, pretty simple with that. And then, like we just talked about, it's going to lead to higher quality recruits. When you have a higher quality Instagram, you're going to be reaching out to higher quality people because that's part of their following. Okay. Better sociable people, athletes, people who are smart. All right. So, like I said, I strongly believe a good Instagram account is a key to the social media program just because it allows you to have everything else a part of the program. Same thing with fire. If you don't have fire, you don't have an office. Okay. So we have to have a good Instagram account to kick things off. And also, personally, I don't have the best Instagram account for messaging. So I do think one of the best investments in the business is paying somebody to use their account. Now, I used 2 accounts. I paid for one, the other one, she was generous just to let me have it. So it's kind of based on your situation, how much you're willing to pay. But I do think having a good Instagram account is very valuable for your summer and what you're willing to do. Next step, which leads back to the fire thing I've been talking about, is replying quickly and staying consistent with your messaging. So once you do get people to reply to your Espering messages or people saying that they're willing to post, things like that, it all comes down to you and staying consistent. They're just like leads. Okay. Once you get recommendations on a demo, you want to call those people as soon as possible. It's the same thing with this. You want to be replying to the people as soon as possible. Very similar to fire if you haven't got that already. So for me, I'm on my phone a good amount. I know people in the business have different rules on different times when they're gonna spend on their phone for their business or like their personal life and stuff like that. For me, I was very motivated and I was like, this summer, I want to do whatever I can as much as possible to get the most results. So I was on my phone replying as frequent as possible. So if you can, reply to people within 5 to 10 minutes just because those people are already active on their phone and they're going to be replying to you as soon as possible when you're replying to them. So have your notifications on, be checking your phone. I remember the times when I was at the gym and I have people like message me and I would send a quick text message on Instagram, things like that. So whatever you're willing to do, personally for me, I'm willing to be on my phone quite a bit just because I want to get post up. I want to get as many leads as possible. Kind of ties in that vision that Phil was talking about. If you have a vision for yourself, you're willing to do pretty much anything possible if it's meaning get out of your comfort zone, things like that. And think of it as a game. More SMRAs slash posts equals more fire equals more sales. Pretty simple. The more people you get for SMRA posts, more fire, more sales. And then kind of just quickly talking about SMRA shifts. So for the North Star division, our first shift is always top 25 list of PRs. So the SMRA makes a list of their top 25 people who they think will be best at the job. And then you'll just do the three-way texting program. I think that's a pretty common thing among our divisions. But then I think this one was really important for me. SMRA message or the SMRA messages our friends to post. I would pay about $5 to $8 depending on the count. But I did this my Thursday morning before training. Now, the reason why I did it on Thursday morning is because it helped with the fire cycle. So they would get out messages to friends to get up post, right? Not sometimes people aren't the most efficient or the most quick at getting posts. So sometimes they wouldn't even get their posts up until Friday. Okay, the post gets up. You have people that reply to posts coming in Friday and Saturday. Now I have people to book on Sunday through my Google form. Okay, I always wanted to have people to reach out to on Sunday through my Google form. So that's why I did it Thursday morning. I would run a couple SMRAs. They get up posts either Thursday and Friday through their friends. I have a full Google sheet of people to call through on Sunday to book my fire to make sure I reach my goal for the week. Okay. And then the $5 to $8, it's solely up to you. So that was through like the SMRA thing. Normally, if I'm just like paying somebody random, I'll pay like 10 to 15 because there's not really connection there. But LA James, a good thing that stuck with me is he said your branch summer, you're pretty much just running your own race for 3 months. So don't really be thinking about, well, is $10 worth it? Is $15 worth it? Just use your best judgment and go from there because the longer you wait, just the more time in your waste. And it's your branch summer, so you're still learning a ton. So, and then I would also do top 25 list of posters as well with my SMRAs. So who of their top 25 friends would be the best to throw up a social media post on their Instagram account? That's becoming a pretty common thing as well. And then last couple things, messaging for post. You want to message everyone as possible. So I remember doing this Saturday. I would literally message anybody and everybody who I could think of throughout the week and literally anybody that had an Instagram account. So interview, training, no shows, anyone who says no to the job, old SMRA leads, anybody who didn't respond to SMRA messaging. Um, you just got to get it out there. You just got to ask. I did this so many times, just thinking of anybody and everybody who might be willing to throw a post. Just message them, hey, I'll buy you coffee if you're willing to throw this up. You can do that for Instagram or Snapchat. And I did this Friday and Saturday as well. So I got done with training on my Friday, and then I knew instantly I had to get to creating resources for Fire for Sunday. So I did this Friday and Saturday. Also did a lot of spider webbing on Instagram for posts as well. So what spider webbing is you go to somebody's account and then you'll go through like their comments, the people who are tagged in their photos, people in the area, and just DMing those people for posts as well. Spider webbing has also become a pretty common thing in the North Star division, and I'm sure other divisions as well. But we're just figuring out ways to get up posts was a big thing this summer. And then let's see here. I think I have maybe one more thing. Nope, that's what I have left. That's the end.
Let's give him a hand, first of all. That's awesome. And yeah, thank you so much, Brady. A couple questions, if you don't mind. Could you either you could do it in the chat or just send it to me personally. If it's Saturday morning and you're messaging a sharp person from an interview or a no-show to training, on asking them to put up a post. Can you send me the text that you would? I'm assuming you texted them, right?
Yeah, I either text them through my personal phone number or just like Instagram DMs.
Or Instagram DM'd them. Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you could go ahead and just send me that, maybe send it to both if you want. Whatever's easiest. If you want to type in the chat if you can, or if you want to just send it to me because it's on your phone and you can just copy paste it on your phone. Send it to me. And if you have a document that you used, you could share that with us. That'd be awesome. And so that was fantastic. But I'd love to get that because remember, you might ask, what would you say was your success rate? If you asked 5 people to post on a Saturday morning, you said, right? What would be your success rate on that? Would one of them post or is 5 of them?
Yeah, honestly, that's pretty risky. Honestly, out of those 5, I don't know if I would get one of those posts. It was kind of just like a whole thing Saturday that, like I said, I was willing to do anything I needed to do to create fire. And a lot of
Mhm.
my Saturdays were just sitting around getting as many messages up as possible. So it was some days were better than others. So it kind of depends on the ratio. I don't have an exact ratio just because it also depends on your account, like I said. But I would be looking anywhere between maybe I'd say you're probably looking like 10 to 20, maybe 30, in that range, depending on the count per post. Like I said, it was just kind of a mass get the most messages out as possible.
Okay. I love that. So yeah, and I'll make a point, guys. If a whole bunch of people say no thanks, I'm not going to post, do we care? They already don't work here. So it's almost like extra work. It's like extra, anything that happens is extra. I'll take it, right? And if you ask a bunch of people to post and you pay $8 or $10 for them to post, what he's doing is creating fire because what do they get? Google form applications. And you probably sent, if you sent a X, like if there was like a example post of someone else's posts that you have, Brady, maybe throw that in the text to me. That'd be great. And you just send an example or two and say, would you be willing to put something up like this on your Instagram? Just say $21 because we do $21, and then flexible schedules, and here's the link, and then make sure you have the right link. That's basically what it winds up being, right, Brady? And
Yep.
again, because he does they do like he's generating applications Thursday night and then Saturday in this case, and then his or their program was a lot of Sunday fire. You might know this, Brady, already, but and a lot of people in our region and division and even in the North Star have kind of somewhat adopted the program of going hard on fire on Fridays and Saturdays. And then what happens is in our case, we have 1 or 2 interviews on a Saturday because we don't have training on a Saturday. So we'll have 1 or 2 interviews and then 2 to 4 interviews on Monday. And so now we have 6 interviews that we're filling in just Saturday and Monday for us. So that can convert pretty quickly into a really high fire. If you guys know that Boise, Hanson, he did 120 grand in new business in the month of September, which is more than a lot of branches do in the summer, right? 120 grand. He did enough. He did that much in the summer. And the reason is he had August, which isn't part of September, and September. So 8 weeks, their office had 50 fire. So about 400 fire in 2 months. It was about 500 actually in 2 months. But almost every week, the key thing is that he had 50 fire by Sunday night. So that means they were booked for interviews by Sunday night, which in reality was by Saturday night because that's he doesn't work on Sundays. So they had 50 fire by Saturday or Sunday night, which means those people were booked for Monday and Tuesday interviews. You guys understand? The people were recruited on Mondays and Tuesdays or Saturdays, right? But that way they were able to go into the next training class. So I love that, the timing on that effort that he put in. Does everyone hear that? So yeah, if you could share those messages, if you already haven't or have, or if we will, Brady, that'd be great. You said if you don't have fire, you don't have an office. And I was like, hallelujah, amen. Put that guy in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean, Brady? Like, seriously, that's awesome. It's true that you can recruit a lot of people from mailers and web. But if you really want to have a high power office, you can double the recruits. What did I already tell you? Our region, our division rather, is about 40 to 47% of our recruits come from fire. And we weren't even good at social media. 40 to 47% of our recruits are PRs. We add a whole element of the social media. Now we add 20, 30% growth in just recruiting. Forget about the fact that when we do social media, what's the advantage? Who can tell me if there's a guess? What's the advantage of a social media recruit over a mailer, a web, or whatever the case may be? Anybody want to vocalize that? Patrick, go for it.
Social proof.
Okay, social proof, meaning what?
Like, we're legit. Like a letter in the mail, it's like, huh? Web, it's like everyone applies online. So there's social proof because it's a real person.
Saying this is okay. So there's an endorsement.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kenzie. What's the real reason? Another reason.
If they're friends doing or someone they know is doing the job.
So kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Let me give you the other one. You guys ready? Write it down. Social media is way more targeted. We're going into the actual network we want. So Brady didn't really cover this, and that's okay. But he's like, you got to get a good social media account. A good social media account is it looks nice and the person looks like they're sharp, and he said smart or an athlete. It means they're an achiever. Other people would look up. I don't care if they're first chair violist in the orchestra and they're head of the debate team or they're head of the Spanish club. Someone respects that person, right? They're a student body officer. They're not necessarily an all-state athlete, but they're a successful person that I could look at and say that guy's sharp or that girl's sharp. Or I already know this person and they already are. I've known them for 5 years and they're sharp, right? And so that's the idea. But then when you're messaging, and when you're going after SMRAs and you're getting these handles, we're going into the private high schools, the Catholic high schools, the network, you know, that maybe we wouldn't be in otherwise. And we're getting into places where there might be a little more affluence. There might be a little bit more, you know, again, the football, the all-state, what do you call it? State championship football team. There's 50 dudes that have an air of achievement, maybe cockiness. Okay. Right. But if it's the swimmer school and they're the state champion swimmer school, there's 50 more kids that, you know, we can get into that network a lot easier when we can pick the person or pick the group and we have, and then one person is on that team and then they can message their friends, bam, you're bound to recruit a few of them. Is everyone with me on that? Okay, and Brady did that, and he was from a town way far away, was coming from an account, you know, he didn't have that I'm not from that territory situation. Not a problem. You find the right 1 or 2 people, and it can still be done. Brady, is there anything you want to add to that? And then there might be a few questions from some other people, and then we can let you go whenever you have to go, of course.
No, I don't have anything like until a little bit later, so I'm good. I can stay on as long as possible. Yeah, I think I don't have much to add. It's just you have to have a good social media account if you want to run the program because it gives you the opportunity to, you know, have SMRA leads and lead those into people who are actually SMRAs, run the SMRA shifts and stuff like that, and then just staying consistent with that.
So again, the good SMRA, the good social media account, again, it kind of got just not exactly explained to everybody who, and some of you are more experienced than others in the room. So the good social media account is so that when you message 500 to 2,000 people, remember the 10-to-1 ratio is kind of, you know, good result or whatever of just response rate. When you send out 2,000 messages, 10-to-1, you're going to get maybe 200 responses, right? And then there's a whole nother funnel of recruiting some of those people into actual SMRA interviews and then SMRA positions, right? But what we're doing with the good account is we're actually messaging them to find, to recruit people that can be SMRAs, right? Oh man, there was another thing I was going to say with regards to that. How many SMRAs, that's what it is. SMRA, how many SMRAs did you hire and put into training in the summer? You had 13 recruits from social media, right, out of the 50. How many SMRAs did you wind up at least hiring and bringing into training?
Yeah. So my SRA program didn't turn out how I wanted, like in returns, like results, but I got 9 SMRAs like launched and through training. Now, just part of the business, whole thing.
And
Not
again,
everyone's gonna
training is not 3 days of SMRA of Cutco rep training. Training is like a couple hour training. We'll call it 90 minutes to 2 hours, right? And they might have worked a shift. That would essentially have been a shift, right, Brady?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on your SMRA and they're bought into your business and stuff like that. So I had 4 SMRAs that I worked with more, or excuse me. So I launched 9, but 5 of them just didn't really do the job. 4 of them I actually fully work with and had probably 2 to 4 to 5 shifts with, depending on their results and what I kind of depend on their bought in and
So
stuff like that.
if they went through 2 hours of training and then 2 to 3 shifts, it's about 7, 8 hours of work. You with me on that?
Mm-hmm.
So what'd you pay them? 12, 15? What'd you pay them?
So we paid their training. That was $30, so $15 an hour,
An
and
hour.
then their shifts were $15 an hour as
Okay.
well. So
So we'll call that 8. What's 8 times 15? $120, right? So he spent about $120 times 9. So we'll call that $1,000, right? Does that make sense? And then from that 4 real, well, let's check. No, that it was only 120 for 4 of them, right? So, and then a few of them were a lot less hours, so a lot less money. So we'll call you spent probably $1,000 on social
yeah,
media
I'd
recruiting
say
assistance.
a grand, 1.5 if you're including the account I paid for. I paid for
Oh yeah,
$300 to have an account for the whole summer. Like I said,
right.
I think that's one of the most valuable things to have.
Yeah, you got district managers who are like, heck yeah, I wish I would have done it right now in the room, right? As we're talking and sitting here. Okay. So having the extra money in startup, what some people are like, wait, if we live in the small town Utah and rent's going to be so cheap, why do I even need to spend that? Why do you need to have to save that much money for startup? Guys, the idea is when scared money doesn't make money. When you have a lot of money, you had over 10 grand saved or just under 10 grand saved, right, Brady?
Yeah, I had over 10 grand.
Yeah, you had over 10 grand saved, so it wasn't an issue to spend a $1,500, right?
Yeah.
And a quarter of your recruits came from this, and then 4 of your people really worked more than 2 hours, but they probably gave you a top 20 list, the 5 that didn't.
I mean, yeah, I got like top 25 lists, but sometimes like if they already quit, they're gonna be like telling their people like not to do
Right,
it.
it's not going to be as efficient, right? That makes sense. So it's okay if we lose some SMRAs, as long as we gain some SMRAs, right? And then it turned into some good recruits, and then there was one other question I was going to say. Is there any questions from anyone in the room? Yeah, Ethan.
Yeah, so you were talking about the SMRAs that really did the work were bought in. But what would you do if you branched again to the rest of them bought in?
Yeah, what would you have done better now that you've done it?
For the SMRA program, I just kind of had a weird situation. So the 5 people that it was just a weird situation because the 5 people that didn't do the job, one person kind of got sketched out, and with that training, I made it very I try to bond them together, like get them to know each other and stuff like that. And then one person kind of got sketched out and then reached out to the other ones, which kind of turned them away. So maybe I don't do that as much. Maybe I kind of make it more just like a personal one-on-one relationship with my SMRAs and don't kind of combine them as a team. I'm still trying to kind of figure that out. Like I said, that was a unique situation, but it is what it is. So
Okay. So we learned that's a great lesson or a great lesson. Lesson. That's a great lesson. Okay. Okay, that's awesome. Anyone here, anyone else on Zoom or in person have a question? Connor, Patrick, district managers. So again, what are the 2 avenues of social media recruiting? It's the SMRA, which when you get your territory, I'm going to say, well, one is putting up a post, right? We all understand that. And do we all understand the idea of you putting up a post when when everyone in your network already knows you sell Cutco is going to do something? And especially in the winter break, when it's like between semesters and it's like, hey, try this out for the winter break. They're like, oh, maybe I will try that. It's different. Putting up a post, you putting up is somewhat, going to get some results. But when you have other people, friends of friends, putting up posts. Now it's a network that people aren't familiar with, and now they're like at least interested enough to fill out the Google form, and then we schedule them for an interview. How many guys agree when you go into the interview, it's not, oh, that knife job. You're like, oh, this is legit. This is way more legit than I heard it was before, right? So when someone goes to the interview, they're like, okay, right? So just keep that in mind. There's you putting up a post is going to get one result, but friends of yours or other friends of yours or friends of your SMRAs or SMRAs, them putting up a post is going to get a totally wider scope of result. So nod your head violently. Is everyone okay with that? Good. But the SMRA, let me speak to those of you that are going to be branching this summer and even district managers. There's a ramp up where we collect handles, which we're all going to do this in a little while. We're going to collect handles, find SMRA prospects, and put them in a list spreadsheet to make sure we know exactly who's going to do this. And Connor, I'm going to look for your help in a little bit here. So we're going to have that list, and the sooner you have your territory assigned, remember he didn't live near his territory. The sooner you have your territory assigned, then you can start making you assimilate and start to connect with people in that territory, but also find one or two people that can be your extra accounts that you can message for people that are in the area that like, oh, we have some SMRA openings, would you be interested? And that's how you fish, so to speak, to find the SMRAs that you might hire and, those 9 people, right? And how do you know when you're going to get that territory? Well, when you have the money in startup and you've got your letter of commitment in and you've done that, now you can have a longer ramp up. If someone knew what their territory is right now, they have 7 months to get ready to do the SMRA recruiting, which is, part of that will be in the 7 months. So it's like 6 months where you're going to start recruiting those people. Okay. So that's kind of the 2 parts, right? There's the putting up a post and finding that to do, but then SMRAs are a whole nother element because you can find more people to put up a post and more people that can recruit friends of friends to be SMRAs and that type of thing. So, awesome. No other questions? All right, well, let's go ahead and give Brady a round of applause, dude. Thank you so much for sticking around. And I'm going to introduce our next speaker. Again, Brady, you can stay, you can go if you want to, but it's awesome to have you here. Our next speaker is Miss Kenzie Ritter, everybody. Okay, so let me go ahead and introduce you guys to her in case you've never met her before. Where's there it is. Okay, bada bing, bada boom. And we'll hit this, move that out of the way. Bam. Move. Hey, there. Okay, got it. All right. Continue. So check it out. Here's Kenzie Ritter, everybody. Look at that. Okay. So Kenzie and Bree in the Cutco factory right there. What a killer photo. Like seriously, unbelievable right there, right? What? Cutco kitchen.
In height order.
Oh, is that in the isn't it in the store? Yeah, in the visitor center. It used to be a car dealership. The visitor center. When we, because you know how the warehouse is to the left, and then there's that building, the visitor center. It used to be a grocery store and a car dealership, years ago, and then we bought them, both, as we grew. So, pretty funny. Oh, look at me in the background. See me? Look at that. Isn't that funny? So, all right. Little Where's Waldo here. Okay. So, all right. So Kenzie Ritter, the title of her message, in case you don't remember the agenda, title of her message is Why I'm Excited to Branch. Okay. So she's got some thoughts. I'm super fired up to have her branch. She's going to be a world beater, and I'm pumped to hear her message. Everybody, Mackenzie Ritter, let's give her a round of applause. Okay. Nice. All right. Hit it.
See if I can. I think you said I had like 20 minutes, but
Take some time. Yeah.
Well, hi everyone. Sorry I'm not in person, but I'm glad I can still, share a little bit of what's going on. So as Phil mentioned, I did turn in my letter of commitment, which is pretty exciting. It did take me a hot second, but I did it, so I'm pretty excited about that. So I guess it's official that I want to run a branch next summer, but I did want to give a little backstory on the process of making that decision because I do think that it is a fairly decent, like big decision to make. But I do remember in SC1, they touched on it a little bit, like the advancement potential and things like that. I remember talking to Bree, and I don't remember the other girl that was there, but she's not with us anymore. But we were like talking and we were all like, oh, like, what do you guys think about like being higher in management? Like, what about blah, blah, blah? And this other girl was like, oh, I don't know, like what? And Bree was like, yeah, I don't know either. Like, this is whatever. Like, we'll see. And I was like, I don't know, I'm kind of all in. Like, maybe I'm just gonna do it. Like, I don't even know. But just the more you go to like the conferences, the more you just see the environment of, Cutco and vector marketing. I was like, holy crap, this is like legit. This is so cool. Like the way that they set it up, things like that. And then going to Olean, that really sealed the deal because it's not only like the talks that people give about the growth and the experience and the success and the, failure and whatever, but it's also just the environment in general. You can tell that people that have branched, they're just like the way they present themselves, the way they carry themselves is like just so different. And so it's inspiring and I was like, holy crap, like this is something that I knew I wanted to do, but now I really am like I want to do this. Like this is what's going to happen. So, I mean, on top of that, like once I was like, yep, this is what I want. I know whether if I branch this summer or next summer or the summer after that, wherever it falls, I know that Phil and Kenzie are going to make sure I'm prepared enough to be successful. Like whether that is successful in a number, in a goal that I want to do, or if that's just like really growing as a person, I know that our management isn't just going to like throw us to the wolves when it comes to our vector careers. And so, with all that in mind, I did make the choice that I really am committed to branching. Plus, running your own office, I feel like is such a flex on all of your peers. Like, none of your friends are doing anything like I feel of such importance over their summers, and you're running your own office, managing other people and your own business. Like, that sounds like a pretty sweet gig to me. But, so that was just kind of the process on like getting here and where the thought process came from. But when it comes to actually branching, there are a list of things that excite me about it. I'm sure a lot of you know I'm very competitive. I love some healthy competition and I love, pushing myself and competing with other people. So the idea of being in complete control of how I perform, like in a competition like that, really is such a fun concept to me and why I have enjoyed this job so much. And I do feel like that is the next step in the process of the career I have here. Um, and it is just fun, like being able to not only compete yourself, but have your own like people under you, your own office being in that competition, like it's just, I feel like it's so motivating and so fun at the same time. Now, obviously, I think it's like a given to be excited about the monetary potential. I've never really had an opportunity to, make 50% commission on top of getting some income from an office as well. So that's pretty fired up. But overall, I do think that a big deciding factor in branching or not branching is I really want to push myself professionally and personally. I do have some pretty big goals for my life and my career outside of whatever, how long this lasts. And I think that a lot of people also know that I'm very naturally ambitious. So, even though I don't see myself, with vector marketing for the rest of my life, I know that this is going to be a huge stepping stone into my professional life outside of vector marketing. And this is going to help me become the leader, the business owner, the listener, the mother, and student that I've always wanted to be. Um, and I think that it's going to be one of those things like everyone does talk about how this is going to be the hardest thing that you do for this amount of time. So, I plan on doing other things in life that are going to be hard, but with 12 weeks of your life pretty much pushing yourself constantly, it's kind of scary. Like, to be frank, it's a scary thought. Um, it is scary to think that I am going to just be pushed outside of my comfort zone for 12 weeks straight. But it's also really exciting when you think about it too. I'm going to be committed to something and working towards a goal for 12 weeks straight. And that's awesome. The amount of growth I'm going to get and the amount of experience I'm going to get is crazy. And whether I were to hit my branch goals or monetary goals that I will set in the future, the experience I gain is going to be unmatched with anything I've done so far in life. And so I know that some of you in the room in Salt Lake, you have run interviews, some of you haven't yet. But in the interview, it talks about how the one thing that every single rep gains from working here is experience. Experience that stands out, that betters you as a person, that pushes you to be the best version of yourself. And I am personally excited for the experience that I'm going to gain from doing this program over the summer. And I am proud of the experience that I've gotten so far with being here. Now, the list of things that scare me is long, but the list of things that excite me is longer. And so I know this path is the path that I want to take. And even if I hit bumps in the road, either getting there or while I'm in it, this is the thing that I know will make me grow into a better person and into a better student. And it'll just be, like I said earlier, a great stepping stone into what I have planned later on in life. And, on a less serious note, I want to go to Rome. Are we serious right now? They are going to take some 19-year-old kid to Rome, Italy for selling some Cutco and teaching some other people to sell Cutco too. Now, that is what I call a win-win. Let's be so for real. So, I get to grow, get real world professional experience, have constant support from my management, make a lot of money, and then go to Rome, Italy after. That sounds pretty good to me. And now, branching might not be on everyone's path right now, but I am super excited to take this step and push myself in the direction that will make me successful in the long run. And I thank Phil and Kenzie, Patrick, and Shay for being around this whole journey. And I'm fired up for what is to come. And I hope everyone thinks long and hard about what their summer looks like. And if you're not branching because you're scared, I invite you to face your fears because this is going to be an experience of a lifetime. So that's it. I'm done. I hope somebody got something from that. I just wanted to share my enthusiasm and some snippets, but thanks for listening, and I love you all.
Oh, let's give her hands. So awesome. So awesome. That was amazing. And congratulations, Kenzie. Super fired up for you. And it's gonna be an amazing summer. What's going on in the chat box? Something just happened. I'm
Everyone
guessing.
loves me, that's
Right?
all.
What are we doing? Giving love? Or are we just giving all the oh, we're gonna cry. Okay, go at Gwaggies. Gwaggies. I don't know what that means. Whatever Gwaggies mean. Okay. Hey, I just, the next slide, somewhat purposefully, but I will share with you. This is Chelsea Pritzkow, who's no longer with Vector, that won the trip to Rome last year. Chelsea Pritzkow. She's the one that ran Jesse's training also. I ran it and she ran it. And that's when Jesse started in 2015. She branched in 14 and 15, I think I want to say. And she had the division officer. And Andrew, what?
That picture is so funny.
That's in, yeah, of course it is. And it's in the Coliseum, literally in the Coliseum. If you don't know this, the floor, there's all these, things underneath the Coliseum. And so the floor was made of wood and then the sand's on top of it. So you literally will be where, the movie, you should all go watch Gladiator. You should all go watch Gladiator 2. Okay. And that's just one movie. Okay. There's just random fountains. Like that's an unbelievable work of art right there. And that's just like random. It's like a street corner. It's not even like, but this is like Rome. This is how Rome is. And here is the Sistine Chapel. Go watch Conclave. Go watch the Da Vinci Code, right? And there you have the Sistine Chapel in there. Okay. Also, Da Vinci Code, when the dude like drowns the bishop. Do you guys remember in the movie The Da Vinci Code when he drowns the bishop? And do you remember this? Yes. Yeah, that's the fountain. Like that's literally the fountain. So watch Mission Impossible, watch Da Vinci Code, watch Gladiator, and then you'll be in Rome and you'll be flipping out. You're like, oh my gosh, this is right here. This is the place. Yeah, when in Rome, right? Okay, so but the Sistine Chapel is my favorite place in Rome, and there's about 1,000 other favorite places. By the way, if you don't know, Kenzie can pack the food away, and so can I. And the food in Rome is unbelievable. Like you will go to a dive, crappy little looking, and you'll have the best pizza you've ever had in your life. If you guys think any of these downtown brick oven pizzas, brick oven, or what's a Pizzeria Limone is anything good, which you probably do, you will be blown away at the food you will be having in Italy. Here is the 12 apostles on top of the Vatican. Okay, so there's a statue for each of the 12 apostles on top of the Vatican. This is St. Peter's Basilica. It's 6 football fields. It's one building. I think it's 6 football fields long.
I like that you Americanized it.
Yeah, right. It's literally like, and here's a from the web. You know, by the way, I've sat at and had a hot cocoa or tea or something at a cafe, literally right there. Like that was the view, sitting at this, you know. And again, watch a Jason Bourne or a Mission Impossible. It's like one of those where they break the phone and the thing happens, you know. And like that's literally what it's like. Right there across the street is a cafe. Here's Trevi Fountain. This is the one that like everyone throws their money in, and there's like you make a wish at Trevi Fountain. These two are web version, pictures, and this one is too. That's the Vatican. Okay, that's Vatican right there. There's those same see those 12 apostles. Do you guys see the 12 apostles right there?
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's the exact same thing on the top of St. Peter's Basilica. That building, it's such a ridiculous. It doesn't even do it justice. That again, it's like 6 football fields long. Okay, like that's how long that building is right there, that far deep. And it's shaped like a cross. If you don't know that, that's almost how all Catholic churches are. The building itself is long and wide, right? Anyways, Rome is going to be unbelievable. But I thought I'd share some of my photos from 10 years ago when no one knew how to take digital pictures. Okay, so anyway, all right. Thought I'd share those. And yeah, it's going to be unbelievable. Okay. So let's get into interview. Tell you what, I'll give you guys a quick break. Okay. It's 10:30. So people got to go potty. I will remind me to unpause the recording. Okay. I'm going to pause the recording. Let's do like 6-7 minutes. Okay, guys, come on back. And we're back. Okay. By the way, there's a great, I just turned on the recording. I swear I did. Okay. Okay, you with me there, Kenzie? We good? We back here, Bree, and Micah and all the people. Okay. And thanks for being here. So I want to get into some quick interview instructions. So if I knew that we were going to be where we are right now. But let's see. The intentions that we had were to be finishing interview instruction. Oh, no, sourcing first. Hello. Okay, so this is going to be a situation. I was jumping to interview right away, and we're not on interviewing yet. So we want to be kind of sort of getting close to starting interview instruction. It says 10:50, which is in 9 minutes. We're going to take at least 20 minutes right now. So we'll probably go till 11:05 on this. But what we're going to do is we're going to kind of group up with your office. So Brinley and Emma and Bucky, and if you want to get on Zoom, one of you, so that you can bring, Case and of course Jarek into a breakout, that's fine. But we're gonna kind of group up a little bit by office, so you guys will leave. Okay. Just Logan, you guys can leave, and Peyton, you can get with Shay. But what our objective is to do is we're gonna take a few moments and practice and actually do some SMRA sourcing. So if Connor, would you do the thing, and maybe if you have it, pull up this SMRA spreadsheet. Just put it in the chat box if you would. Put the SMRA spreadsheet in the chat box, okay? Because it's the one that has offices. Like,
do you want to see my Park City office with like the handles and stuff? Or
you can show that. That's fine. Okay. But what we're gonna do, guys, is what you want to do is and so Peyton's gonna meet with Shay right now and Ashley. Okay. So make sure you're on Zoom. And we're gonna just kind of start talking about, because here's what we're recording, right? Okay. So what I'm gonna say is this, guys. The objective, and I'm gonna try and share a picture if I can super fast find it. I'll go to recents. And when it comes to I don't want to do places. I want to be out of the map. I want to be the library. And I'm gonna go to most recent photos. And in the month of December, It's essentially, we're almost there. It's right here. No, it's something else. You're not there it is. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna share this. And I'm gonna show you guys that there. Ready, set, go. Write down December, January program. You already know somewhat about it because you can go to Cancun. December, January program is a mini summer. And this is important for Jesse, Bucky, Shay, Patrick, and Kenzie to hear this. We heard it on Wednesday when I talked about this, right? But we do social media ramp up. So don't look at the screen. We do for the summer, Kenzie Ritter, and branch managers and district managers, we do summer ramp up by sourcing social media handles, right? SMRA handles, like these are people I want to recruit to be my SMRAs. Up until a month before we open. And then the month before we open, we're messaging all those handles saying, hey, we want to hire someone to be a social media recruiting assistant. Are you interested? Blah, 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 blah. It'll be part-time. You can make some money. And then we hire them. And then we want to hit the ground running in the summer by hiring and running social SMRA training so that they then, put up a post and they give us a list of people that we could work with to recruit and bring people into the funnel and everything like that. That happens in that month right as we open. And then we start running interviews and recruiting reps to sell Cutco. Is everyone with me on that? So that's over like a course of like essentially December through April. And then we train them in April and May, and we launch 7, 8, 10, 12, whatever number of SMRAs. And then we recruit all the reps. Does everyone understand that for the summer? Is everyone not reading the screen and looking at me and understanding that's what we do for the summer? Got it? So now if we look at the December, January program, all of you are not branch managers or district managers, unless you're a district manager right now. So you are part of the miniaturized version of the summer that you're creating for the December, January program. So what would normally be months in now December till April is now just weeks, October through December or January. Is everyone with me on that? So we shortened and condensed it. So essentially from now, which is October 18th. So right now we have essentially this meeting is the kickoff call, we'll call it, right? And then what we do is November, we have some assistant manager calls that will happen during the key staff hour every Monday. And then the first couple of weeks of December are like May when we're launching SMRAs. Again, December, Shay, Bucky, Patrick, Shay, and everybody here that first 2 weeks of December, we're launching the SMRAs. And then the last 3 weeks are when we're selling a lot of Cutco because we launch a couple big training classes in that second and third week of December. And then we launch into the big dance, which is the big training class that we have on the 26th through the 29th of December. And then the New Year's class that we launched during New Year's. And then schools. And then we are working on getting assistant managers, obviously, between now, more assistant managers, because when we promote branches, we got to replace our assistants, right? Because the assistants are going out as branches. So we got to promote more assistant managers. So that's a photo to give you guys an idea that we're doing a miniaturized summer between now and December, or between now and year-end banquet. Okay. Claro, everybody. So what your job is to do right now is you're going to get into a group with your office staff, and we're going to say, these are the key high schools. This is why I asked all the district managers to send me who are your key people and who are the key high schools. Because during this time, Bucky's going to sit down with his assistants and they're going to discuss, here are the high schools. Okay. And so that's what's going to happen. Okay. And so we're going to break right away. And the objective for Bree, Kenzie, and everyone in the Salt Lake City office is to get together. And Connor, you can, if you're in Zoom, everyone click on that folder, right? Everyone click on the folder that Connor just dropped. Oh, that's not the folder. Connor, there's Patrick, maybe you can find it quicker. The SMRA list. The handles, the handle, yeah, the page. Okay, would you drop that real quick? Okay. Yes, please. Okay, so
You're talking this.
yeah, the red and green and all the thing. Okay, so let's quickly, okay, let's see if we can put that in there. Okay.
This is the ISD one from.
So if you could just put it in the chat box really fast so I can share it there. Okay. So what the objective is to do right now is to begin this process. So Bucky, Shay, Patrick, and Kenzie, if you would click on this link, and I'm going to share it real quick on the screen, and then we'll do the break. Okay. So ready, bam. Here we go. All right. What we're going to do, this is an example. We have Salt Lake right here. And Salt Lake had a list. This is our list of handles that we started. We had Caleb, we had Charlie, my daughter, and Patrick. We were hunting for handles. Okay. And these are people that we could, message and say, hey, are you interested in this? Right. To be an SMRA. We have 100 and some odd people. It's probably not 140. It's probably about minus that 110 SMRA handles that we can message and say, hey, we're looking to have someone help us do some social media recruiting. Again, those messages will be sent later, not now. But our objective right now is to go to Max Preps or go to any number of websites or go to Instagram. Okay, I'm on this, right? Right. Okay, good. So I'll go here.
Just so
I'm going to
you
go
know,
to
yeah,
Instagram. Yes.
There's 2 SJSs for Salt Lake City with 2 different handles.
We have
So you have
lists.
150 handles in one spreadsheet and 150.
So let's do whatever we got to do here and get it linked.
Do the one that I did and then you'll need to consolidate.
So let's consolidate and I'm going to trust whatever Patrick says for whatever reason he says it. Okay. So now what I do is I'm going to search. Okay. This is Albrook Station. All right. So now what do I do? This is the band we were listening to during the break. Okay. But now I'm going to go to, let's call it, how do I search again, guys?
On the left.
Oh yeah, there it is. Search. So now what I do is I search and I go, well, I don't even do Instagram. So now I go, let's say Juan Diego. Okay. Juan Diego, here's why this is an option. Juan Diego is a Catholic school. It's not a normal public high school. Is everyone with me on that? So they're going to have different networks and different things like that, right? So I'm going to say, hey, I got 5,000 followers. And now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go to a post. And we have, first of all, I can go, wait, how do I do this? I want to go to Juan Diego and I want to find these 5,000 followers and say, who might be a good person? I'm going to say, all right, let's see. I'm going to look for Haley Heinrichsen. If she's not a mom, if she's a mom, she's probably a mom. Okay. Right. Does everyone see what I just did there?
Yeah.
And I go where, how do I stay in the search bar? But I go here and I got to find the high school kids that could potentially be people that are recruiting. However, I actually don't want to do high schools right now because it's not before the summer. So we have a more likelihood of recruiting or messaging people that are too young.
Yeah.
Does everyone understand that?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to be like, okay, university. Hello, Univision. Okay. University of Utah class of 20. So if they started in 25, 26 will be the end of their freshman year, 27, 28, 29. Okay, so I go to class of 29, 202, 2029, right? So now I find this. I don't want class of 2030. That's too early. U of U 2029. What is it? University class of 29 bios. So now these are the freshmen. And there's only 73 followers following. Which one do I want to go? Followers. Yeah, I want to go to followers. So these are the 73 people that I'm like, okay, now this is what we're talking about. Right? And so that's, for example, an example of what we would be doing. We could go to Westminster class of 29. We can go to U of U or UVU, right, Bucky? We go to UVU class of 29 and find all of the followers. And now I say, is this one? Okay, this guy has 838 followers, this girl, Ava. See, that looks like an awesome one. You guys with me on that? Ava's, got the social scene going on. So what do? I want to copy her Instagram. Okay, copy link. And then I go into this spreadsheet. Do you guys see what I'm doing here? So now I'm just going to skip one just for fun. And I'm going to put that there. Bam. Okay. Or what do I do instead? The smarter move is to like make a new window, go here. See how I did that? I didn't do her trying to copy, right? I gotta do it backwards, right? And I go copy and I go back to my spreadsheet and I'll go like this. Bam. That's what I want to do. So, and was she public?
Yeah.
She was public? Tours, France, University of Utah, Delta. Oh, she's a sorority.
You see that?
Yeah, look at these posts, right? She's all about it. right? What does she have? 800 followers. Nothing crazy. I don't need a 10,000 person followership. You guys understand that? Because people live in Florida, right? Or all over the place. We don't want people in Florida. Okay. And she's public, right? And then what am I gonna do? I'm gonna follow her, right? Make her feel good. Just kidding. Okay. So because that's what we need in life, right? It's not follow. I need people following me. Okay. And then I'm gonna say this is me. So I get credit because I need the credit. I really need that. Okay. I'm name 4 in my own office. Thanks. Awesome. Okay. What does that mean? That means Papa don't do this is he's not the manager. He's the manager. So what do I go? I go here and I go fill. So now what happens? Down here, what is it now? See, it's invalid. So let's go here, go there. Okay, and now I select myself. There. Okay. And I just follow requested, right? And that's all I got to do. Is everyone with me on that? Brinley, you're way smarter than Bucky on this. Emma, way smarter. Jarek, I'm sure you're smarter than Bucky. Okay, so you're gonna go do that. Okay, Peyton, you're probably way better than Shay. Shay has something going on. So what you can do is you can get on Zoom or get with Ashley and say, and if you need help, I'll help you in a second. Okay, because Shay's got something going on. Okay, unless she tells you to just go in there and watch. If she wants you to just go in there and watch, that's fine too. Your next meeting with her, you should do this. Saul, same thing. Okay, got it. Parker and Packer and everybody, you can leave. Okay. So, all right. So why don't you 3 go out with Bucky? All right. And I'll call you guys back in here. But your mission right now is to select the 5 key schools. I know a lot about our division. So if you need help on those schools, let me know. What's that? Well, okay. Thank you so much for asking that. December, January, we're going to focus on the college class of 29 because those are all people out of high school, right? They're freshmen. And then you could go class of 28 and those would be sophomores. But then when we get towards December, it's a whole nother game going after your precious high schools. Let's say I want to be hardcore in Maple Mountain. This is your territory, right? I'm going to be hardcore in Maple Mountain High School. I'm going to find all those little, the swim team and the debate team and the FBLA and the DECA and the football team and the cheer squad and the, whatever. And I'm going to get the people from the high school class of 26, right? The high school class of 26. Right now we're going for college class of 29. Okay, so that's for the December, January program. But then as soon as we get to December, we will flip that immediately and branches will start researching their own territories. Districts will be researching their territories with the assistant managers. Does that make sense? So that's the correlation or the difference that we're going to go with right here. Okay, guys? All right. So again, Peyton, if you can get on Zoom and then get Ashley.
Brainstorm for
Okay, so
what
why don't
schools.
you step out there and I'll try to come help you in a minute. Okay? I'm going to give these guys an assignment and then I'll come help. Can you be on Zoom and I'll try to put you in in fact, I will do breakouts. Okay, I'm going to do breakouts for you guys right now. That way Bucky can put everybody in his room, from his office. Okay, so we'll do breakouts real quick. And I'm going to assign room 1 will be Layton. Okay, so I'm going to go, or Layton is Salt Lake North. So where's Saul? Okay, Ashley, and I'm going to say open all rooms, and then we'll go Salt Lake City will be in room. So much pressure. Okay, I meant to assign people to a breakout room. Okay, so let me assign Bucky and your staff to another room, and you can probably go in the other room.
Good, but my computer would die.
Oh, okay. All right, well then do what you do, but we're gonna be in here. Okay. All right, let's put room 2 is Provo. So I'll put Bucky and Kaysen in that room. Okay. And then why don't you just plug it in real quick, Bucky, out there? I guess that's probably the best thing. I'm gonna assign room 5 for Patrick. Okay. Bucky, I'm gonna make you a co-host before you leave real quick. Ready? Make a co-host. Confirm. All right. So, and now Bucky, I think I assigned you, didn't I? Oh,
I'm gonna be.
oh, let's put you in there. You are in room 2. Okay, room 2. Yeah, and if you guys, Yeah, if you guys want to real quick, just step, probably easiest if you step in the other room. Okay,
You are-
so before I go help the other office here, guys, what I'm gonna do is I'll go in there to help Pay, did you join yet?
No.
Okay, you're gonna be in room 1. Okay. All right, no sweat, no sweat.
Oh my goodness,
Okay.
I don't-
So what I'd like everyone to do is I'm gonna share my screen.
This one's on the-
Share my screen right there. Okay. Is I'm gonna click on this and I'm gonna share it in the chat box. Okay. All right. So there's the spreadsheet, Kenzie and Bree. Okay. Kenzie and Bree, there's the spreadsheet.
Is this your-
Peyton, I'll make you a co-host and I'm gonna put you in the right room. So real quick, let's try to do this quicker. I should have done this better myself. I'll admit.
First one, like,
Okay, so there you go. Room 1
Yeah.
is your room. Okay, there we go. All right. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say,
If you
for fun here, Kenzie and Bree, I'm gonna challenge the two of you.
like the top.
Okay, Kenzie and Bree, thumbs up.
Transfer.
Kenzie Ritter.
Shit.
Kenzie Ritter and Bree, I want you to go to Utah State. Okay. Do class of 29. And as you look at however you delve into the group, like if you say, oh, I'm going to look at maybe Kenzie and Bree, you can like text each other or call each other. And like one of you does one post or one photo or one group, and one of you searches another. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Being that you're assistant managers for us, but you are connected to Utah State, what I want you guys to do is find a group of followers, find a group of people. You with me? And I want you to, what I want you to do is, if they're from Riverton or South Jordan or anything, Kenzie, you could probably just, Kenzie Ritter, you could just look at your people and put them in the social media SMRAs, right? Like that'd be a really strong move for us, is that you just refer a bunch of people as SMRA potential, right? People on this spreadsheet. And then down here, we should create oh, dang it. Okay, down here, let's create a Logan one. Okay, so this will be Logan. Okay,
IMD 25 handles.
Logan.
Oh, here we
All
go.
right.
Okay.
And then we have Southern Rockies. Okay, SR, right? So you guys, if they're from Ogden, oh, and now what you got to do is you got to take the template. You got to take the template. Bam. Or wait, do this. Copy and put this in there.
Yeah, and then what you do is you replace URL.
All right. Now, do you guys see what I just did there, Bree and Kenzie? So this is for Logan. All right. And Patrick,
Isn't that
we're gonna just start sourcing some handles. And so I'm gonna go right here.
you stop
We'll
people
just do this.
and
You'll be in
you
both
can-
handles, both places. Okay.
It's a while.
Kenzie.
Like, just you're like, I stalked
All
her.
right.
Like, I
So they're Logan. If they're Utah State and they're up in Logan, let's go ahead and put them in his office, Kenzie and Bree. But then Salt Lake City, if they're down here, Kenzie and Bree,
That's red sauce.
see, Kenzie's already sourcing some people,
Kenzie's got like 6.
right? And so I can actually do this. I'll go Kenzie, Bree, Ethan, Jen. Okay, there. So Kenzie has already done this. Someone's already done this. Maybe Connor did. I don't even know. Do we need to do another one of these? But
What?
someone's already named all these people.
Yeah.
Okay, so Connor, you need to make yourself a column. Make yourself a person.
I don't know how to do that.
I don't know how to do that either.
Great.
Okay, so maybe this guy can figure it out. But Kenzie and Bree, we're gonna give you both. You with me on this? So if they're for sure down this way, go ahead and put them in our list, Salt Lake City. But if they're Logan, let's do that. And so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go Patrick, and we'll go Parker, and I'll go Bree, Kenzie. Right? So I'm gonna ask Kenzie and Bree, just take a few minutes, and I don't care if you find 10 handles, 10 good sharp kids that you're like, this probably be a good one.
Can we
Go ahead and do that right now. Okay, guys?
people in another spreadsheet?
And where'd that 143 go that I just had?
See, and then you
I'm gonna mute myself now. I'm gonna mute myself for you guys. of a gun. Okay, so now we'll get to that. And so again, it's what was the best thing they did? And then what was the element of feedback that you think everyone would benefit from?
Constructive.
That they would and that everyone else might benefit from. Because sometimes you'll see something, you're like, ooh, I've seen 6 other people do that. That'd be the feedback I want to share. Right? Because it might not just be that, you know, Kenzie or Brindley did that. It's that 6 other people you've seen do that. Okay. All right. So did I say Brindley or Bree is gonna lead off? Yeah, it goes Bree, Smith, Ritter, Brindley. Okay, so we'll go in that order. What? No. All right. So again, I'm gonna leave the script on the screen. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Let's yeah, I'll leave the script on the screen. I'll leave the script on the screen. Okay. So, and I may scroll with you, I may not. Okay. So we're going to start and then we'll fake play the video and then we'll go down to, all right, just to recap, you know, here's a summary of what you just saw. Okay. When we get down there. Okay. So again, Bree, let's hit it. All right.
Wait, I have it pulled up on my side, and that might be easier. Y'all are muted.
You can share. You don't need to share screens. You just want to role
Okay.
play. Yeah. You can ignore our Zoom screen. You just look at your screen.
Okay.
Go for it. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. My name is Bree, and I'll be running your interview for today. Okay, so this is a group interview, and there are multiple of you on the call. So the way that our software works is that I can see and chat with each of you, and then for privacy reasons, you can only see and chat with me and any other managers that might join us a little later. Okay, you're all muted for the time being, but we'll have a chance to talk one-on-one in a little bit. So I'm going to have you introduce yourselves to me using the questions that I put up on your screen. Okay, now I also recommend that you take just a moment right now to evaluate your on-camera appearance, as it does impact each of our interview decisions. Okay, I'll give you an opportunity to do that. Now, in a moment, you'll go ahead and scroll down and answer some questions just to allow you to introduce yourself to us, and I'll give you about 3 minutes or so to do that. And give me a thumbs up when you see them. Awesome, thanks. Okay, now let's go ahead and get started. So I want to introduce myself to everyone, and then I'll explain the interview process that we'll be using for today. So for the time being, you're all muted, but we'll have a chance to talk one-on-one in a little bit. Okay, my name is Bree. My position here is Assistant Manager for the Salt Lake City office of Vector Marketing. And just so you know, we have about 230 district offices nationwide, and our office covers from about just under Salt Lake City, almost like about down to Provo, and we're one of the top offices in the division. Okay, so I'll be running your interview today and making the final decisions for the position. Now, the division manager for our office is Phil Bolender, and he's been with the company for the last 30 plus years and is responsible for over 40 million of sales within our company in that time. Now, if you're accepted for the position, he will actually be running most of your initial training and you'll be reporting to him directly. So a little bit of background on me. Okay, I started the job back in June, where I earned the President's Club letter and was later promoted to assistant manager. I've loved working with Vector Marketing. I've grown a lot. The team is absolutely amazing. And I hope to continue to also earn the next President's Club letter, as well as I'm responsible for 20,000 personal sales. Okay, so our time today is actually going to be split up into 2 sections. So first, I'll review the details of the position, and there's a number of you here present for that. So with the number of applicants that we're getting, it's impossible for me to spend 60 minutes with everyone one-on-one. So I'll spend 40 to 45 minutes with all of you together, just telling you about the company and the position that you're applying for. Now, again, you're all muted, but I can see and chat with each of you. However, for privacy reasons, you can only see and chat with me. Okay, now at the end of this main portion of the interview, I'll give you a chance to fill out some final questions, and then I'll follow up one-on-one with each of you for a one-on-one private interview. Okay, now by the end of that one-on-one interview, I will give you the courtesy of a definite yes or no decision on whether or not you'll be accepted for the position. Now, because of how busy it has gotten for us, we're looking to start people as soon as we can. So for that reason, we're not making people wait a week or two to find out if they got the position. As far as some of you heard about us, some of you received a letter in the mail, so congratulations on that. Some of you found us online or on social media, or maybe through a college campus. And actually, most of you already have friends on the team. And in that case, you might know quite a bit about us. Okay.
Okay, stop right there. Wherever you were. Kenzie, take over.
For those of you that aren't as familiar with our company, we did over $300 million in annual sales in 2020 and 2021, which were our best years in history despite the pandemic. We've had pretty steady growth since Vector became the distributor for our product in 1980.
Sorry, will you go ahead and turn on your mic
Yeah.
and your
In the last couple of years, we've received recognition from several publications and organizations. By a show of hands, how many have you heard of DECA, the Business Club for High School Students? In 2017, we were given their National Sponsor Employer Partner of the Year award. We were also recently ranked by USA Today as the number 12 company to work for in the US. In 2019, College Magazine ranked us the #1 job for college students for business and sales experience. Recently, we've received several more awards from Business Insider, Comparably, and also Forbes magazine for things like work-life balance, happiest employees for large companies, best company for women, company culture, and best CEO. Now, I already mentioned what our office covers geographically, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about our team. Our team is made up of people in many different situations. We have recently graduated high school seniors like Ethan and Kara, who were working for the summer, taking gap years, or just working to save money for school and church missions. We have reps who work the position part-time on evenings and weekends around their other jobs and responsibilities for things like saving for trips, paying the bills, or to pay off debt like Tiffany Thorson does. We also have moms working around their kids' schedules like Brooke Ladu and Allison Powell. And we have career sales professionals like Faith Perkins, Quentin Israelson, and Noah Anderson in our division who sell hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of our product yearly and earn 6 figures with our company. With all of the colleges in our area and flexible schedules we offer, we also do have a good number of students that work with us part-time around their schooling during the semester and then more full-time over winter and summer breaks. We've been doing a student program for almost 40 years. We have internship programs and scholarships that they can earn based on their performance. And because of the skills they develop, we also have students of all majors that work here as well. If you are a student, I can review those in detail in your final interview if you'd like. And just so that each of you know, I'm not looking to fill a certain number of positions today. I might accept some of you, none of you, or more of you. It really just depends on how you interview for the position.
Okay.
I'm
gonna mute that. Okay, so I'm gonna pause and actually go against what I said because we did 2 right there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna start with Kenzie and go backwards because there's something really key here and I want everyone to understand something. When you're explaining different types of reps, this really doesn't have to be, it needs to be, on point, but it was funny because you said we have students that like to work around their schedules. Does that make sense? It's like, that was an awkward pause, right? Do you guys understand that?
Yeah.
And it was because you were trying to be on. Does that make sense? Okay. It was really bad. I'm just kidding. Okay. So, all right. But however, and then I'm going to make the other point. There was a point right here where you went, so that means I might accept some of you, and it would be like a little bit better. And like this is such a strong paragraph. Especially if you've made a few if you've made a few name references, like you said, Jarek, and you said, they know there's 12 other people. Some of the district managers, in fact, the #1 recruiter in the company right now is Nick Matlack. He gave a message at SLC and he says, I believe he said he shares the screen for a second and shows the entire interview that there's 12 people or 14 people on the interview, and then he unshares the screen. So everyone sees each other for a split second, and they're like, oh, and so then they're like, oh, I'm just getting recruited like 14 other people. Does everyone understand that? So there's something called a push away, and you say, now, just so you know, just so each of you know, I'm not looking to fill any particular number of positions today. What I am looking for is the right type of people to bring onto our team. So that means I may accept some of you, none of you, or maybe more of you. It just depends on how each of you, how you interview for the position. Sorry.
Wait, he
Okay.
does that little blip right there.
No, he does that in the beginning. He shows the screen in the beginning. So some of you are gonna get chopped off. Okay, so no, just kidding.
Like, that's
But
crazy.
but this is yeah. But my point is, they think and in the old days when we were all in person for everything, people would show up. There's 20, 30. I ran interviews for 30 people in one interview, easily, and during my branch summer, 3 times a day. I'd have 60 people walk in my office that day. Okay. And there was no internet, and it wasn't like something you could, you guys understand. It was just you showed up to everything. There's no Zoom or anything. So my point is that when you can say something like, I may accept some of you, none of you, it just depends on how you behave, right? That's a really strong statement. And if you're not sounding like you know what you're saying because you're worried about what you're saying, because you're like, I don't know exactly this sentence perfectly, well, then guess what? You're losing it. Okay. And so I was gonna say what Kenzie did do is she went from this to this right there, really pretty well. Maybe a slight longer pause. That power pause makes them like, oh, something's changing. And you say, now, just so each of you know, there's a really important pause right there. Okay. And then this pause from right there to right there is also a pause enough so they realize there's a new topic. Okay, so I'm giving feedback to everybody, not just to Kenzie here, but like learning how to pause and use punctuation and use paragraph breaks is really important because you realize what you're getting into. Now, a lot of the paragraph breaks, they're a little stronger. You can see them, and sometimes they whatever, right? But and they have bold, and they start with bold statements or bold font, right? But knowing how to pause, and then also knowing some of these key paragraphs better will make you sound different and better. In between, the points will be separated. I wrote down for Bree. It was just it was just a little fast, Bree, right? Just a little fast, and you were the lead off. And especially when you are leading off every interview. How many guys agree? When you run an interview, you say the exact same stuff that Bree said. And at the very first part of the interview, if you're like, oh, but I got into my groove eventually, well, when do people make judgments? They make judgments in the first 45 seconds. So your intro, when you start this, it needs to be way strong. You can't get into the groove and finally sound normal down here, right? It's got to be perfect on point right here. Is everyone with me? So it's worth practicing that more and more and more times. And just because Bree let off, we can all be like, oh, well, we'll give it to her. Well, that doesn't help when you're leading off every interview you ever run. You are leading off. And so you need to make sure you're on that. And then again, my feedback for you was it was a little too fast, right? That's the point I just made. And then the other thing for everybody to hear is you need to have variance. And it was just a little bit too, not monotone, boring monotone, Bree, but there was no slowing down or speeding up. There was no difference in the tone. In my opinion, it could have been a little bit more variant.
I thought at the very end she got that variance,
Right.
Different oscillations
Down here.
I look like, yeah, she just needs to do that up there.
Right, right. And that's why that first couple of paragraphs can really make or break it. And then what's funny is that you have 5 minutes of silence while they fill out their things. Man, I hope those 12 sentences or 8 sentences go pretty well, right? You got to make sure those go well, or else you have someone drop off during the questions.
Yeah.
Right.
And I remember sometimes during my first time in TLA, I was like freaking out when I got like called to like first time like to
in TLA. Yeah.
And so like
yeah. So now, okay, that's great. Thank you.
Just saying.
Another thing is, guys, your personal story. I know you're probably already, Bree. You're like, oh, I flubbed that. My personal story. I'm like, oh, President's Club or whatever. But when you share your personal stuff, It's funny because I'm like, I haven't talked about President's Club, but that's because I've been here 31 years, right? But for all of you that are newer assistant managers or whatever, where the heck is it? Little background on me. There it is. There it is. Okay. So it's very simple. When you started, how much you've sold is what I would say there. I've been responsible for over $26,000 worth of Cutco sales. Or you can even say you can say tens of thousands of dollars of Cutco sales. And then you got promoted to key staff. I like saying key staff because that's the first thing that a trainee, when they're in training, should hear about. The next thing they can do besides sell Cutco is get on key staff. And then you talk about being promoted to AM, assistant manager. Don't say AM, right? Assistant manager. Okay. And then, talk about scholarships or President's Club. Okay. And you could talk about that. If there's another manager in the interview, you talk about that right there. And then our time today is going to be, here's a great example from either here, or if you're introducing any assistant managers or anyone else in the interview, from that until you say this, there should be a pause there. And you're going to say, now our time today, Ethan, is going to be split into 2 sections. You guys know this already. If you've been in an interview, in a meeting with me ever, I'd like to use fingers. Give me 2 fingers. We're going to be split into 2 sections, right? On a Zoom, I'll do the give me 2 fingers, but in an interview, I won't do that. Our time to be is going to be split into 2 sections. First of all, I'll be reviewing the details of the position and then looking for opportunities to do what? Smile. First, I'll explain the details of the position. Okay. And there are a number of you here for that. And with the number of applicants that we're getting, it's really impossible for me to be able to spend 60 minutes with every person. So naturally, what I'll do is I'll spend about 45 minutes explaining all the details to all of you about our company and the positions that you're applying for. And again, you're all muted for that time, but I can see and chat with each of you. However, for privacy reasons, you can only see and chat with me or any of the managers that are here today. And at the end of that point of the interview, I will give you each a chance to fill out some final questions like we just did. And then I'll follow up with each of you one-on-one, and we'll be able to have an individual interview. And by the end of that interview, do you guys see how that flows? Another thing I wanted to say is, enunciate. Everyone write it down. Okay? Enunciate. There was multiple times in Bree and Kenzie's where it was just you were rattling something off and it wasn't fully enunciated, and it's like vain repetition, if you ever heard that term before. But it just, for you, it just is so nonchalant, whereas everyone else is the first time they've ever heard the interview. So I'll say this, in the interview, I want to be really good at enunciation. Okay. And Jesse, feel free to needle in here anything you want to say. And if there's a question from anybody, we're time's sake got to keep moving. But is there anything? I saw Jesse nod. Jesse, are you able to share something or no? I don't know if he was trying to. Okay, he got something going on. Okay, anybody else? Yeah, Connor or anybody?
I just stuck something in the chat.
Uh-huh.
Whenever you're doing your intros, you can feel free to write a paragraph script, and this is just a few examples.
100%.
Hanson's office.
Yeah, there you go. Bree, Kenzie, everybody else.
You can just copy and paste it right in your interview script.
Yeah, well, we kind of don't do that actually because we all use the same script. You can create a copy and put it in there. The only thing I worry about when you get copies, guys, is when you start editing it and then you realize we made a change and you didn't know about it, right? So I really do like the idea of taking even a paper script, printing it out, and then putting your personal story in handwritten next to it or whatever you want to do. I'm open to a lot of options there, but just if you were to do what you just said there, Connor, it's important that you be aware of any changes we might make. And then we get switching that into I like everyone in the same document.
Posting AM scripts right in the interview.
Well, what you could do is you could do a comment over here, right over here in the
a comment.
What do you call those comments, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make a comment.
Jesse,
yeah, that's good.
Did you have something you wanted to say or no?
As far as scripting?
I'm not sure. No, as far as interview, what we just saw. You probably weren't watching it, sounds like.
I was on the phone with Grayson.
Yep. Great. I know he texted me too. So that's awesome. I'm glad he Got a hold of you. Okay, so it looked like you were nodding to us, and so that's why I was waiting to see if you had something to say. Anybody else have the comment? And you know what? For time's sake, I wish I could have Kenzie and Brinley do this, but for time's sake, we won't. But the bottom line is, guys, I'm going to give you an assignment today, and that is I'd like to have you script the interview. So everyone write this down. I want you to script out the interview. Do you remember last, I don't know, I had Ethan lift up my standing desk, pull out Anthony's scripting and Abby's scripting. Anthony and Abby have had some of the best interview stats in the last 365 days because a year ago today, I said, I want you to script the interview. And they handed in a handwritten copy of the interview to me. Okay. So what I'm going to challenge you guys to do, whether you're a writer or not, whether you're a handwriter or a typewriter, I'm fine if you want to type it in a computer document. I'm fine if you want to handwrite it. I think you learn it more if you handwrite it, but I'm not going to make that be a mandate at all. But what I'd like you to do is I want you to script the interview word for word by the 1st of November. So today's the 18th of October. So it's essentially 13 days from today. We'll call it next Friday night, next Saturday, whatever you call it. 14 days from today is the first. Okay. But I want you to handwrite it or type it. And all it is literally print it and then sit there and read it and type it like this. Read it and type it, or handwrite it out, looking at your screen, write it out, look at your screen, write it out.
Let me, can I make
you don't have to write in the commands and the extra little intro things about Johnny, assistant manager, who's with us on the interview. I want the main body of the interview to be scripted, and it does not need to be formatted anywhere. If you want to format it and like have a paragraph and make it look great and have the page breaks and whatever, I don't care. I just want it to the script itself to be scripted out. Go ahead, Jesse, with your whatever you want to add to that.
Yeah, because am I still doing my message, or is this
You're
basically my
next.
comment?
Yeah, you're literally speaking in 2 minutes. So,
Okay, then I'll speak on it in 2 minutes.
Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, awesome. All right. So good. We got 54 minutes. Okay, so Jesse is next here on the agenda, and I'm going to go ahead and get to our it was not the exact outcome, but again, here's the assignment, guys. Script the interview or script the interview again. Okay, by the 1st, 14 days from now. Okay, is the mission. Okay. Go ahead. Actually, no, let me do it. Yeah, I'll do it. Okay, great. So thank you, Patrick. Okay, so I didn't make you a slide, Jesse. Look at that. I didn't make a slide for Jesse. I can't believe I didn't make a slide for Jesse. I'm the wrap up, but he's in the middle there, and I didn't do a slide for him. Okay. God freaking dang it. All right. So Jesse's talk, okay, is gonna be basically the why and the how. The why and the how of scripting. Okay. So he's got about 13 to 15 some odd minutes. Okay. Maybe 20. But we're gonna go ahead and let him take it away. Did he walk away from the computer? Where'd he go? Am I looking? That's funny. Okay, I'm like, all right, there he is. Surprise. He wanted to make a dramatic entrance. Okay, that's great. All right, so if you have anything you want to share screen-wise, I believe you're a co-host. But all right, let's give him a round of applause. Okay.
All right, thanks, guys.
Excelente.
Okay, let me ask you this. How many of you would like to feel more comfortable speaking in front of people? How many of you would like to have running a potential office next summer? How many of you would like to have great interview results? I just got off the phone with somebody who I think is one of the sharpest district managers in Central Region, has some of the worst interview results, he's twice the fire number right now, and at like 20% of the sales that we've generated in recruits that we've had. And I was sharing some things with him that goes back to what I'm going to tell you here in a moment. Scripting. Okay. Yep, it was Grayson, Patrick. And we're converting him to the IMD program. We're slowly, I hope like this is a small plug. Yep. For what we're doing. We have Hanson in Boise, which I'm not sure if Phil's talked about Hanson during TLA, but Hanson is in Boise and he's running a very similar program to what we're doing in the IMD. And he is absolutely lapping the field, crushing it with the programs that he has that he stole from me, basically, and has made them his own, but like they're still the same thing. Patrick, one of the top managers in the company, me and Phil running some of the top offices in the nation. And look at this, guys, we don't work on Sundays. The rest of Vector hears that we don't work on Sundays, and they're like, what are you guys doing? How are you generating the kind of sales and recruits that you're having and not working on Sunday? And Grayson, who's a Christian and who's going to be married here soon, is also like, I don't want to work on Sundays for the rest of forever. I really like what you guys have going on. Showed him our presentation, showed him our fire program. We talked about the interview, and he's like, oh my gosh, like the way you guys are running the Vector business, that seems a lot more sustainable and a lot less up to luck. So if anything that I want you to understand is just that you're in a good, you're in one of the best places in the entire company. If you're going to do Vector, the programs that we have in place, the leadership that we have with Phil, the collective community that you have with me and Patrick and Phil and Bucky and Shaylee is fantastic, and Kenzie is awesome, and like you're set up for success. So one of the things that can absolutely impact your success this summer, and I've seen it make or break somebody's results, is how well you know and deliver your content. And that comes down to putting the reps in. What that comes down to is scripting. I'm going to tell you, how many of you have ever been given a script, maybe in Vector, maybe it was the demo. Well, you all have at this point. And if you've ever run an interview, how many of you have run the interview and you felt like it was, Kenzie, kind of clunky, so to speak, because you're like, here's the interview. I kind of got to check the interview to see like what's next in the script. And there's this little bit of hesitation, and there's no flow. There's no aura, right? You guys like to say you're not locked in the same way. No cap. It's just there's not as much riz as there should be in that interview, right? And when it comes, Connor, to training, and when it comes to your interview, your public speak, that hurt. Okay, Patrick, that's too far. All right, don't call me Grandpa Phil. I know how to use them correctly. He doesn't. 6'7". We're dealing with a generation, by the way. Public speaking skills have always mattered, but we're dealing with a generation, you, speaking of my speak, that has TikTok induced ADHD. How many of you would agree? Like listening to somebody, if they're kind of boring, you're like, checked out. Even more than previous generations, that was the case. People will size you up in a public speaking situation, but if you are not on point, they are checked out. So when it comes to the interview, your ability to seamlessly present yourself, to explain and articulate well what it is you're doing, the ability to vary your tone, the ability to connect with somebody over here, absolutely matter to keep people connected to you. So one of the most important, and in training, it's no different. I've got two other managers that I've trained who have amazing interview stats. And I don't mind telling you, by the way, that one of them is Anthony. Anthony had really amazing recruiting stats this summer, but when it came to his PPR and his training, how much his average representative sold, it struggled. And why did it struggle? Is because he knew his interview and it was crispy. It was crisp, it was fresh, it was delivered well. But when it came to his training, he didn't quite understand all the different facets, and people like your trainees' confidence in their demos will never be higher than your confidence in training. I would write that down. The confidence of your training class will never be higher than the confidence that you have delivering that content and training. It will always be like lower, right? Yo, return missionaries, where you at? Small hands, right? Like if you're ever in a leadership role, you'll know, right, Bree, that the obedience of the district will never surpass that of the leader. They set the tone. And it's the same thing when you're standing in a room in front of a training class. Your training will never be more confident than you are delivering training. So if you're not very confident delivering training, they only get this amount of confidence going into their demos. How's that going to fare for them? So wouldn't you guys agree that a lot of really what makes a new representative successful is they just go in there confident that like Phil said it was work, and I'm pretty darn sure he's right because he's been here for a long time. I'm just going to do what he said. Right? So One of the ways to impact your confidence in training is your delivery and how on point you are. And one of the most important, and same thing in the interview, and one of the most important ways to do that is scripting. So I'm going to tell you how I scripted, and how many of you have seen my training before? Okay, would you guys agree that I run a pretty on the point training? I know exactly. So Connor, the reason that is because when I was a branch manager in 2015, excuse me, 17, leading up to me going out as a branch, I took sheets of blank printer paper. I took my favorite pen. What's my favorite pen? It's the best pen ever. The Pilot G2.7. This one's a 0.38, but whatever. You take your favorite pen, and what I would do is I had training from the best trainer in the company. His name is Drew Frank, and I would start the video, watch 6 seconds, listen to him, pause, write the whole phrase out. And then I would play, listen to it, 6 seconds, pause, write it out. So what's happening here? I'm listening, I'm repeating, and I'm writing. 3 times doing grade. So like from a physiological perspective, that's being hit in 3 different ways. Like I'm repeating that 3 times basically to myself. I'm hearing it, I'm repeating it out loud basically, and it's being written down. And there are studies that show that using this, okay, I know that we do a lot of this, and believe me, I do too. But when it comes to journaling, almost never do I let myself use this because I need to take the time with this. This is a receptor to greater and more inspirational things. This is an antenna to access deep parts of our brain. And so your memory recollection is almost never going to be great if you're typing something, because how much content do we type as a species? So much. So you want to know what your brain's programmed to do? Your brain is programmed to wipe your short-term memory slate all the time. Same thing with like how much content do we see on this screen? More content than has ever been produced in the first 7 billion years of our Earth, you know what I mean, or mankind or whatever. And we're like we consume as like all of that in a day. Thousands of text messages, thousands of interactions. So my tip for you is if you really want to memorize something, get tactile with it. If you really want to become familiar with something, get tactile with it. If you really want to recall something, read books, right? Because if you see it on a screen, your brain's programmed to wipe that stuff pretty quickly. So it's if you're scripting an interview, the 1.0 version is take the script, like Phil said. And honestly, I had no spaces. I just went back and forth and back, and I tried to fill up a blank sheet of paper as much as I could. And you'd write out the whole interview word for word, and you can read it. And as you read it, welcome everybody to the interview. Okay, welcome everyone to the interview. Next line. I'll be running your interview today. I'll be again 3 times. Another good way to do this, by the way, would be to watch my interview or a recorded interview of one of our staff, and then to do the pause, play, write it down. Pause, play, write it down. Hear it, see it, read it. By doing that, I'm going to tell you right now that my training is still, if you were to watch the videos that I watched in the 2014 trainer videos from a guy named Drew Frank, one of the best managers in the company at the time, if you watch my training and you knew his training, you would see that there are still phrases, that there are still things that are identical there that are so ingrained in me that I don't even realize that sometimes I'm regurgitating that because I memorized it at such a high level. So then what happens, Kenzie? If you've scripted it out word for word with your hands, the amount of recollection that is now built into you, when you're running an interview with the group and you forget what the next line is, you look down, you see one line on the script, you look back at your screen, and you know exactly what that full next phrase is. Does everybody follow that? And Kenzie, like that's where you want to be when you're running training as a branch next summer, or Kenzie Smith, when you're running training next month as the pilot, you should be able to deliver a full like idea of content. And if you forget what's next, you look down, you see the next paragraph. I've already read, listened, and written that next paragraph. You're able to look at the next person in the training class and say whatever it is that you want to say. Cool? It takes time, Connor, to do it. but it is time that is so well invested in yourself because the confidence and the music, so to speak, behind the words, you're not worrying about what you're saying anymore. You're now worrying about, you're focusing on, Bree, how that's being delivered, how it's being received. Who are you looking at in training when you're saying that? That's on a 10 when you've written it down, when it's in your brain, and all you have to do is access it because 80% of it's there. And then you just reference what you need with the script and you go back to that. We do that as a division, right? Phil didn't hear my plug for our division, so I'll finish with what I started. We are Western regionizing or Western Central regionizing the rest of the divisions. Grayson's calling me to get on our program, which is the identical program that Hanson runs, and the best offices in the company right now are running what we're running. And we're doing it at a high level, and we're doing it year-round, long-term. We don't work on Sundays. We've got great programs. We've got great systems in place. If you level your skill set up with this, it's going to be one of the greatest things you can do. There's not a better region and division to be in Vector right now than in the IMD running the program that we're running. Let's go kill it.
Let's give him a hand. I love it. And what I'm going to say, I did hear that part, by the way. But what I'm going to say here, guys, is that the interview script, I'll start with that. It was the why and the how to script, right? And when it comes to the interview, I used to do this with my training manual with Cutco. I sold 700 grand, okay, worth of Cutco almost. And I would literally see the script floating in the air. You guys know how this teleprompters are see-through, right? I would see the words moving as I did my demos. And we didn't have computer scripts, right? But we had our training manuals, but we had an interview script. So in person, you guys saw this in Olean, people would hold their scripts like this, stand in front of 3 applicants, and half the region. The one thing that isn't the same is that we are not on in-person demos. I'm sorry, in-person interviews right now. We're on in-person training, except for Southern Rockies, right? We're all doing in-person training, except for Jesse's office because he runs Wyoming from St. George, right? In person, we held the script, and I ran interviews from 1997, and that was a flip chart interview. We didn't even have a script. It was just us like literally flip charts, and we would like make up stuff as we turned the page. So that was totally different. And then I got to Utah, and we had a 17-page script, and we would read the paragraph, say the words, turn, flip the page over, say the next page, flip the page over, and I would be standing. I'm only on sitting because I'm on Zoom, right? And I would be standing in front of 12, 15, 30 applicants on 1875 South State Street, Norham, 84097. Okay. At Suite 201. And so that's what happened in my branch office. That's what happened every year since 1999 was when I branched, but 1997, I started running interviews here across the parking lot. So since then, 97 until 2025, I have, not trying to flex here, I've memorized 17, probably the number of years that is, 20 some years. I've memorized that many scripts because we tweaked it a little bit here, tweaked it a little bit here, and it's always changed a little bit here and there. So those of you that watch me run an interview, you'll find there'll be certain things you're like, ooh, that's good. It's from a script from 20 years ago or 10 years ago, right? Or whatever it is, pop out of me, But my point is, I can see the interview as I look you all in the face. I can see your face, and the interview script is going through like a teleprompter whenever I run an interview. Okay, so what is it? Memorize, internalize it, then you can personalize it, and that equals mastery. That equals mastery. And what's great is that we're getting some solid results in the division, and we can all do 5%, 10% better. What is 5%? Who can agree you can do 5% better than anything you ever do, right? 5, 10% better. Well, 5% better show to training over the course of a year is like 100 extra recruits. When you have just like a 5% better show to training, here's why. 5% better show to training will likely equate to another 5% launch percentage. because the people that showed come to training with a better mentality about what the job is going to be because they expect what they're supposed to expect, right? And then when you 5% better your training, 5% better your, launch percentage, and then the PPR, the sales per recruit goes up also because they sense your mastery from the interview to day 1 to day 2 to day 3. They don't even know that it happened, but they're that much more 5% plus 5% plus 5% better confidence wise when they're finishing training of someone who's mastered training. That person sticks around, Bucky. That person sticks around, Connor. That person sticks around. I'm talking to managers who run training extensively. That person not only sticks around longer, but they sell more on day 1. In demo number 1, they sell more. When training is crisp and on point and not a scatterbrain. Oh, and it has been scatterbrained in the last few weeks. I'll give an example because we've all just switched to a new demo. Right? That we are now training reps on a different demo than we've been training them on for 5 years. So there's a little bit of scatterbrainness from myself, Kenzie, Shay, Patrick, Bucky, whoever, right? Jesse's been on the current, situation for about 6 months now. Okay. So does everyone understand that? So because there hasn't been, Kenzie last night texted me, and this is a lesson for all managers. I want you to hear this. She texted me, she's like, bro, I have given up on these reps. We just launched 13 people. Okay, I'm going to show you this, guys. We just launched. It's okay. It's fine. You're fine. She gave up, and then they sold just 2 reps, sold $2,500 right there last night. Okay, but she had already texted me, bro, I am giving up on these fools. Okay, like basically what she said. Okay, that's what she said. Okay, she's like, these people could burn in hell. No, she didn't say that. Okay, so. All right, she didn't say that, by the way. Although, was it Patrick or you or somebody? Patrick's texted me an Elmo with a fire, that gif. Yeah, that was something else. He wanted me to burn in hell. Just kidding. Okay, so just kidding. But 100 demos. It's 13 because Kenzie's in here, right? Kenzie's the pilot. So 13 reps, 104 demos. Do the math right now. 104 divided by 13. Do it quick. Not a flex, but I want to make a point. 104 divided by 13. 8 point what?
Exactly.
Okay, it's 8 exactly. That's what I thought. So it's 8 demos per person. We want 10. And in the school year, it's a challenge to get to 10. In the summer, it should be a lock. We should be at 10 demos per rep, not 6, not 8. It should be 10 demos per rep in the summer, which is another reason why branches, we open in the summer, plus the fact that you're students and stuff. But I want to make it very clear that there's no way you're thinking, by the way, I will say, look at the number of demos that happened last night. If they actually happen, a lot of these get rescheduled because they're boneheads, right? And we don't teach them to firm up enough, right? We definitely don't teach to firm up enough, but aunts and uncles are boneheads. But, sure as shooting, there are 3 orders out of, what does it say there? Not 31, because some of those demos were down here with the team, but, 31-ish demos, we'll call it 20 something demos, only 3 orders. That's a pretty bad closing percentage. But look at what we have today. A butt ton of demos too. Today, hello, right? And tomorrow and Monday. Okay, that's a lot of demos. And if we're giving up on them 2 hours, 5 hours in, that's us. That's our fault. But it is a challenge to say, how do we make that 100 and some demos turn into what it should turn into? It should turn into a lot. And that means we have to master training. So guess what? Me and Patrick and Shay and Kenzie have been talking about, right? And Bucky also as well, is like, we have to master these systems because we have some reps that they don't even know how to turn on a demo right now. And it's not that they're dumb. It's that where are we missing in our training to master training so that they don't miss it. They don't miss how to do what they're doing. Side note, dynamically, I'm just going to say dynamically, we've been running a 4-office training. And when one person's in Logan running part of training, he doesn't see who is missing it. So then it's like Kenzie, Shay, and whoever's in the back of the room looking at a rep who's just looking there and saying, oh, this is great. And they're not following along and they don't know how to get into the demo and they don't know how to do that. Now they don't know how to start a demo. It also happens to be a boomer who's technologically whatever. right? Does everyone understand that? But it's like, that's our deal. That's our job to train them. And if we don't have a good system, and that's why, for example, in the training, this is straight out of Drew Frank's How to Have a Perfect Launch, you have to repeat it 3 times. And you have to say it 3 times. And it's 3 times maybe in the same 2, 4, 8 paragraphs or sentences, or it's say it well on day 1, say it well on day 2, say it well on day 3, and then they get it by the time day 3 comes around. But if it didn't happen at the right time, like I want the words, the Homemaker is the most popular set that we sell, to come out on day 1, so that when we unveil that on day 2, they're like, oh yeah, I already knew that. Oh, and then you say, oh, and what site are we going to, guys? Everybody pop quiz, what site are we going to? They're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And they know what site they're going to. If you don't ask those questions, if you don't pop quiz them throughout training, but the only way you can do that is if you've what? Memorize, internalize, personalize, so that the personalization to Boomer Yadira or Boomer Angie, who sold 2 grand last night, you know, if we don't personalize it when that person is in training, because we don't have the system down, do you guys see the situation? And that's training, and that might really throw some weight on some of you that are, you know, getting ready to run a branch, and Kenzie's like, oh my gosh, I'm crapping my pants right now. Okay, but it's this. It starts with the interview. It legitimately starts with the interview. And I want that to be, if I go back in my slides here, guys, when I go back to my slides and I brought up the thing that the region manager said, what do you have to do this month? Have an awesome interview. And it says by the end of November. Well, I want you to script it before November 1st. If you script it by November 1st, you got 30 days to master the interview. What is mastery? Memorize, personalize, and then internalize, and then personalize. And when you can personalize on the fly, no students in the interview. Why am I talking about students at all? All students in the interview, no old people. Why do I talk about the person who's full-time? Yeah, if I do, it's going to be really quick, right? So I know when I want to talk more about the student situation in the interview, because they're all students, or I know that there's no students, so I'm not going to emphasize that much. And I'm going to talk to the web apps that we didn't get enough PR scheduled. Okay, so, right, for example, just, you know, side note. Okay, but once I can make the interview second nature, where the interview script is scrolling through and I can see through it and I'm looking at all of you. Now I have it open on my Apex, but I'm scrolling and I know I say sentences out of order. I say the sentence out of order. That's not, it's different than saying sentences out of order. I say the sentence in a reverse order. The one I did the exact one I always do out of order. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
I said one sentence. I said like 2 sentences of the interview. And some of you are like, that sounds better. Okay.
For the time being.
Yeah, for the time being. The one that you're all muted. Right? Whatever it says, it's your time. You're muted for all the time being, but I say for the time being, you're all muted, or the other way around. I don't even know. Right?
Whoa.
But does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
But that's because it's internalized, isn't it? Right? And that's just an example of how to be a really successful manager, is you know your crap. I'll be honest. Barack Obama got elected 100% because he was a better orator than whoever ran against him the first time. Who at this point? I don't even remember now. Obama against McCain. Yeah, he sounded so much sharper, right? He's a really good orator. Okay. So a whole nother story about Mitt. Okay, so we got another story about that. Okay, but all right, you guys with me? Well, what? Okay, all right. Let's do syllabus right here. Oh, did I mention we're going to Mexico? Did I say that? Okay, yeah. All right. All right, you guys know this, right? If you don't have this thing, let us get it to you. So text your manager and ask for the syllabus. Okay, text your manager if you don't have this. We've given it out in multiple TLAs and SC3, you know, CFC. But there's 6 elements of running a great office. So we have the first one is creating, I think it's create touches, or is it the social emotional intelligence. So leadership, first of all, Kenzie, is get your mentals together, would you? Okay, Kenzie Ritter, I'm just kidding. Okay, so so what did she, that was so inspirational, right? When Kenzie was speaking about how can you work on yourself as a leader? The real reason of branching, Bree, the real reason of branching, Connor, the real reason of branching 3 years ago, Patrick, and 20 some years ago, Bucky, is who did you become in the process? Right? Learning to lead, right? Learning to be motivated on your own, learning effective people skills. It takes you, and it's 75 minutes to read the 1 Minute Manager. You literally could read that book in 75 minutes, an unbelievable book. Some of you got the emotional intelligence 2.0, you got that in Olean. Some of you got that book in Olean. And positive intelligence is another book they gave away in Olean. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. We've been doing this in Key Staff, right? Those who've been attending Key Staff. So this is all personal growth, right? Opportunities. But again, acting as if, write that down. I know you guys know what it is, but act as if you're going to be the leader next summer that you really should be. Because if you're going to be an assistant manager, you're going to get paid 30% to sell Cutco, 35, whatever. You're going to get paid 0.5% to 2% to sell cut or to, run the office with your manager. And you're going to be doing what? Social media, fire, setting PRs for interviews, running interviews, helping reps, and selling Cutco. Or you could branch, do social media, fire, PRs, run interviews, and help reps, run training instead of doing demos for 2 months, and then do demos for 2 months and make half straight 50%, like Kenzie said. Either way, it's the same job as an assistant manager or a branch manager. It's just whether you're running training or not. And if you can qualify for Rome or not. That's really the only difference, okay? And obviously you save for startup and things like that. But it is about personal growth, right? I just took out Kenzie's mom for breakfast the other day. I worked on getting one with Bree and her parents. And I just met with Anthony and his fiance, yesterday. And so if you haven't got, yeah. Yeah. Was it yesterday? It was Thursday that I went out. Yeah, Thursday. It was Thursday that I had lunch with her, dinner. What happened? I already told you we got to get with your mom. I already said that. Okay. All right, your mom. Okay. All right. Number 2, right? Part of running an office, an effective office, is learning how to create touches, right? We just spent half the meeting today talking about this. So the social media, right? Hold on. Hello. Social media. There we go. So our social media program essentially is now getting social SMRAs, right? So it's getting a key section of day 3 is getting the PRs, but then why is it sell and save as part of creating touches? Everyone look at that. What I put down here, sell and save. Why is selling and saving part of creating touches? Yes.
Because it's part of what Brady was talking about, right? So you got to spend some money to
Yeah.
get SMRAs.
Yeah, you got to spend, he'd spend $1,000 or more to get SMRAs. And then he also spent money paying $10 for people to put up posts. So that's more of your startup. And that's why it's so important that you're selling now, right? Because it's easier to sell now and save money now than to say, oh, right before the summer, I'm just going to come up with $3,000 extra cash, right? It's going to come out of an orifice of my body. It's not going to happen. Okay. So, all right. So there's creating touches. You with me? Excellent. And social media is getting stronger and stronger every day. Oh, by the way, campus. Many of you have helped us out on campus recently, and we appreciate that. Helped us out on campus at a BYU job fair when Bucky wasn't even there. So that was really fire. Was it Emma and Brindley and Ethan?
Yeah,
right? Was it 3 of you? Yeah, and you got a sweet water bottle too. Okay, fringe benefits. Okay, so job fairs and on campuses, and we will do on campuses. By the way, it's going to be slow moving. Holy moly! When you're on campus, the last week of finals or last week of classes at a college, we will do those tables, and we always get recruits from those tables. Okay, and so
That's an Avery.
Yeah, Avery was recruited from campus.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that's right. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, good job, Phil and Patrick. Okay, everyone say good job, Phil and Patrick.
Good job, Phil.
But mostly Patrick.
But mostly
But mostly Patrick. Okay, because he did the tape. Okay.
Oh, that was you.
So, I went.
Yeah. You were the one.
Oh, I did. I remember talking to her. That's right. It was there, huh? It was at Utah State.
Yeah.
I felt like it was at U of U. That's so funny. Okay, what am I? Who am I? All right, interview, right? Interview, mastering the interview. How do we master the interview, guys? Pop quiz. Script it so we can what? Memorize internalize it so that we can personalize it. And that's mastery. Okay. When you do that. And what are the things that we measure? Interview, manager efficiency.
Show the training.
Show and what? Launch. It's the show and the launch. And you're like, well, I didn't run the training. But if they show up with the right mentality, and you've also promoted Bucky, or you've promoted who's running the training, and you promoted what it feels like and what it's, how training is, and they get what they expect, 1 day on Zoom, 2 days in person, whatever the plan is for that person, and that it's clear. By the way, a launch percentage, really bad faux pas is when you don't figure out their training conflicts. It is so important that is a program that is figured out, that they know what's going to happen. And frankly, your manager, who you might not be running the training, but your manager knows the program for that person. It needs to be put in the notes on Vector Live, and that's assuming I look at those. But that's Kenzie's job. Okay, so all right. So but it is important that Bucky knows who's going to be doing what, and it's not flying by the seat of your pants. Here's why, Bucky, and I'm gonna say it to Bucky, and I'm gonna say it to everybody, but here's why this is so important. If training, and this is for assistant managers, you guys need to hear this. If they don't view training as extra important, essential to their success, and that they are willing to ditch one of 28 class periods in a 14-week semester, let's assume they only have 2 class periods per week. 14 weeks, they miss one of 28 class periods to come to a third of their training, 3 days, right? To miss that class, to go to a third. What's 33% of a training? A lot. What's 1/28th of a semester? Nothing. Do you guys understand that? So getting someone to ditch a class should be easy, because they do it for ramen. They do it for a hot guy. They do it for snowboarding. They do it for sleep. They ditch class for sleep. I don't feel good. I'd rather play video games, right? And that's why they ditch class. You tell me they can't ditch class for school or for a training that helps them in business. But if you don't project that, and everything bends to their quote desires. But I have my kids that desire more screen time, but guess what I do? I do what's better for them and take away screen time because it's too much. Even though they want it, I know what's better for them. Yes or yes?
Yes.
So when someone ditches school for training, I actually have a full, in my DNA, I know that training for 3 days is more valuable than 1/28th. That's assuming they only have 2 class periods. If they have 3 class periods that week, what is it? 42. 1/42nd of their semester is missed to not miss 2 hours of their only 16-hour training or 18-hour training. You guys understand that? So I have to know that. And again, as assistant manager, I hope that was a little lesson, a little tutorial of how you view why they miss class. You know what I mean? So
And you say what you just said to them
in a post.
Yeah, like he'll say that in a post.
Yeah, Connor's watched a few of my posts recently, so that's for sure. I'm like, hey, just 14 weeks of a semester missing a class, you'll probably be okay over missing a third of your, half of the day of training because of one class, right? What was that?
You can get notes from your neighbor.
Yeah, get notes from a neighbor, get notes from your professor. Hey, we got 3 days until training starts. Do you think you could send an email to your professor explaining that you have a 3-day, one-time only training? And I also say, guys, even if we have a meeting, because advanced training, if they have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class and they miss part of Wednesday and they miss part of Friday for class, and then Monday's advanced training, they're like, I tell them, hey, in the post, I say, if we have a meeting that's ever on a day where you have class after these 3 days, we're going to tell you to miss class. I'm sorry, miss training, miss the meeting that we have and go to class. And then once they launch, I'll see if we can do the same or not. I'm okay with advanced training because we have videos, but it's also statistically lesser, less good for them if they miss class. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
You know that you've done like a good job of
The post.
making training a priority when the first thing they say when you say like, do you have conflicts? They're like, oh, I have a couple things, but I'll get them rescheduled.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I had an interview yesterday, but I did a really good job putting the value in the training because everyone that I posted
was like, yeah, I've got a couple things, but I'll make sure that they're rescheduled before.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Really well done, Brinley. Two things I want to say in response, and not necessarily exactly to that, but I'm going to say, I do want to single out Provo, a minute ago, like I did, but I'm going to use the example that in your guys' case, because of the way you're running it, you guys are trying to do 3 days in person for some people that are close. And then it's like 2 days or 3 days on Zoom, and it's like a little bit of a, and it's even harder when there's two classes that you might choose to put them in that could jeopardize how valuable they see training to be. So that's a conversation for you guys and your staff, but it's like, the point is, the more you can build up training, it's like when people see the value, they're willing to pay the price. And when people see the value of training, that's when they say what they said to Brinley. Is that pretty clear, guys? And the only thing I would challenge Brinley on in that is, just in case, I always ask, well, what are the conflicts? Because if in the moment they're fired up and they're like, I'll do this, 24 hours, 48 hours go by, they get a quiz, they get a paper thrown on them, and now they're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. So it's very important that you still check what the conflicts are and still maybe do a little bit of review on that. Oh, okay, so that makes sense. So yeah, you got this, and that way, in case you catch something like, oh, that might be an issue. Oh, it's late October and midterms are right now. And it's like you are cognizant of that, especially if you're a student, you probably know. And you can say, hey, it is midterms week, so you got this. And they're like, okay, I got this, right? Or and I also like to throw in there, hey, make sure you reach out before Tuesday, here's my number, or on Tuesday when we send you the emails and the text, we'll make sure. And I do give an assignment. I'm like, by Tuesday, I want you to figure this out. And if it comes to Tuesday and it's not fully figured out, make sure you respond to that text letting me and Bucky know that this is the situation that we have now, and we'll figure it out from Tuesday to Wednesday. Okay. Whew, that was an extra bonus interview role play session right there, guys. Okay, that was money. Quickly, yeah, go for it.
Schedule send texts to the people who you say that to if you're gonna hang out. Otherwise, you're gonna.
Schedule send. So if they have an iPhone, you have an iPhone, you send a message in the send later. You guys know the send later option? That's what you're saying? That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
So you send later.
Like, just to make sure that you guys actually connect and make sure that they're all squared away.
Right. And maybe, Connor, you may not have done it, but our protocol, I think but you may not know, is we send the email early in the morning on Tuesday. That gives all the details for training. And you guys might have 2 emails. I don't even know. Okay, if you have 2 emails that you send, Provo. So Bucky does. Okay, the in-person group and the non-in-person. And then we also do a group text. So the pilot and me and Kenzie sends the text to that rep so that 3 people, and it's like, here's the text. But that's when I said, make sure by that day when you get that text from us that we've got everything worked out, or let us know right away. And then the last part is you have to make sure you look at those texts. So
usually let them know to remind us, like when we send the text, like please remind us.
Yeah, I have them remind us that day.
Write this down, you need to remind us, or else
because we may forget. Phil may miss that note from me. Okay, Bucky might miss that note from me because you may not have put the note in there, or they may not read that part on their Vector Live profile that they have an issue, and then they remind us on Tuesday. And again, as long as we read through that, and again, that's a for sure important detail for Bree, Kenzie, and Ethan to hear, because that's our protocol. Yeah. We have to know that in time. Okay. All right, good. Mastering training. Guess what, guys? You tell me. How do we master training? Yeah, script training, but we can't script training until we script the interview. So if my name's Kenzie Ritter, right, I'm scripting the interview for sure by the 1st, and then I master it all through the month of November because Mike Muriel, this little bald Bolivian scary guy, right? Okay, I'm going to make sure that I then have time to script training, right? I have time to script training. Not only in December, you have time to script training until you open your office. Okay. I'll remind you that Christopher Pagels ran a $175,000 branch in St. George, 0 other territory, no Wyoming, none of this, none of that. It was St. George, and he did 175 grand, and he scripted the interview once a month from October until April, and then during the summer, he turned in a written copy of the interview to me in May and in June. He was in the middle of the summer. He scripted the interview 8 times in 8 months. His show to training for the summer was 63%. We were in person. I want to say his launch was like 80%. And not an office in Vector has that statistics right now. 60% show for a summer and 80% launch. No siree, Bob. Okay. So, but he scripted the interview that many times in 8 months. Gee, I wonder why his people, felt pretty confident in training. Okay. So there's 6 key sections of training. There's 3 days of training, but there's 6 key sections. We're not going to go over what they are right now. And if you start scripting the interview and you're done scripting the interview, and then you're ready to run a branch and you're like, I can script training now, then you can script training now and you can still script the interview again. Okay. After training, what is it? It's working with your reps, right? It's a fast start program. I'm not going to go over this slide much right now, but I'll tell you, to have good fast start productivity, are we making sure that our best reps, or all of our reps, are seeing their best customers on their first night? Are they making sure they're getting their first demo as a guaranteed sale? I don't think we've said that in 2 months. I said it yesterday or 2 days ago in training. And I was like, I don't think I've said that in the last 3 months. I didn't focus on that. I should have been focusing on that, making sure they're seeing their best customer, their first demo as a guaranteed sale. And we focus on their first training and their first sale and their first promotion and their first pay raise and their first grand day and their first prize and their next prize and their next grand day and their next promotion. And we don't give up on them, Kenzie. Okay, so, right? Okay, all right. And then the last 6th ones, on the syllabus, what is it? Work ethic, right? Over the course of the whole summer. By the way, if you're not selling to put money in startup, your work ethic needs to be worked on. I really appreciate that a couple of days, or probably a couple of weeks ago, it was like probably 10 days ago, Kenzie's like, I've got to do 6 demos a week. I'm doing 6 demos a week. I'm doing 6 demos a week, because she had to reinforce for herself that the work ethic needed to come into play. Instead of making excuses, she started making demos. Okay. That's what I'm going to tell all of you to do. Instead of making excuses, make some dang demos. Okay. Book them. Okay. All right. Remember, it's easier. I think I left a slide in there, didn't I? I think I left, this slide. Let me go. That was supposed to be in the beginning, but I want to remind you. Yeah, I wasn't going to stick this in there. I'm like, I've shown this slide so many times, right? What's harder, adiantum or what's the other one? Vibranium. What's harder? The answer is, I don't know, but I know what's harder. Preparing to run an office is harder, right, than actually doing it, right? Preparing an office is for sure harder. And that's the whole point. You will be successful because of your preparation, right? You will be successful because of your preparation, and you'll gain confidence. So selling Cutco right now is master the interview and sell Cutco. Gaining cash and confidence to get yourself ready to run an office is sell Cutco and master the interview now. And then December, January, you keep cranking the interview, and then you earn your trip to Mexico, and you earn your territory scripting and learning training. Okay. Did I mention we're going to Mexico? I think I did. Okay. So Cancun, there it is. Okay. The manager qualification, I don't know yet. But here's what reps can get. You guys should know this. I'm gonna go this fast. We got 8 minutes. Okay. So remember, there's a long push and a short push. I'd write that down. Long push, short push. The long push, we're the best division in the long push, by the way, where you have from the 1st of December all the way through the 12th of January. That's 12 plus 31. That's 43 days of pushing. That's 6 weeks. And you got to sell 11 grand. I'm sorry, 16 grand. You got to sell 16 grand, or you sell 11 grand from the 30th of December to the 12th, which is 14 days. It's either 14 or 42 days, 43 days. And you got to have 1 or 7 friends launch that sell 3K. And when I say launch, they have to launch from the 1st of December to the 4th of January. This is if you have 0 money in startup. Someone could be at 0 in sales, not even be on the team yet. You could launch someone this week, Bucky, and they actually could win this trip. One detail is they have to be, which I think all of you are, but they have to be at 6K. They have to be at 6K by the 1st. So today's the 18th of October. This is the 18th of October. So they have whatever that is, 12 plus 30 days, 42 days. They have to get to 6K by the 1st. So as long as they start the month of December at 6K or higher, every rep on the team literally could win this trip by either doing the long push or the short push. And they have a friend or a few friends that launch during that time frame and sell 3K total as a group. You with me on that, everybody? Now there's two bonuses, right? You guys know the two bonuses. One, you turn in your top 50 list by the 7th, but
What's that, Phil?
we need your top 50 list. Similar to, can you just take a photo of a top 50 list? Like find somebody's top 50 list and just give me a screenshot of it. I'm gonna stick a slide in here that shows it. Do like Tyler Martin or Jefferson or do somebody, I don't care. Yeah, but I want something with colored up and beautiful. I don't know. If it is, then fine. Send me a text. Okay. So this is how Patrick won the trip years ago. But you turn in a list. Okay. You turn in a list of top 50s. And well, I'll tell you what, you could have your friends start the job, and this is good for Bucky and Patrick and everybody to understand. You could have your friends start the job without turning in a top 50 list. But the top 50 list is your list of 50 people who don't work here. It's just they don't work here. And side note, they need to launch in our region. So they launch in Texas or California, they won't count. But if they launch in Missouri, it counts. If they launch in Chicago or Minnesota, if you know people live in Idaho, they can launch anywhere. They're BYU, Idaho, they can launch up there. And if they're associated and are from Provo, we'll probably launch them that way. But if they're in Idaho and they're from Idaho, then we probably will launch them in the other division. But the fact is, we can run that program and you turn in a list of 50 PRs. And what's going to happen is we're going to three-way text them with you and we're going to recruit them, even if they've been texted before. Nod your head if you're like, I already gave 200 names in training. I already gave 100 names in training. Then that's fine. We will have you resubmit some of them, the best ones, to us, and you will get $1,000 credit towards that push. Look at me, guys. That means you only got to sell 10 grand or 15 grand. You guys see how it's a $1 grand bonus towards the trip? And then look at the second way to get $1,000 off. You schedule district managers between the 21st of November to the 1st of January. You personally schedule 100 people for interviews from the massive, I don't care if it's from social media, it could be from anyone. As long as you personally schedule 100 people for interviews, it could be from campus. If you schedule people for tables from tables on campus, you schedule them for an interview, you get 100 fire from the 21st to the 21st of November to the 1st of January, you will get $1,000 off that sales quota for the push, which means you only got to sell 9 grand or 14 grand long push. And then again, if you have startup money, so this is Kenzie, this is Bree, this is all of our managers in training that already have a bunch of money in savings, which I'll recognize in a minute, then if you have more than 5K, then your numbers are lower. If you have more than 5K, your numbers are lower to win the trip. Still the same requirements. You got to personally sell, you got to have your team builder, and then if you have a certain amount and you have to have a letter of commitment. So Kenzie and Anthony already qualified. I believe they're not quite over 5K, but they should be over 5K minimum by the 1st of December. I think it's the 15th, by the 15th of December. Then their numbers are lower. They have to do 3 things. But the nice thing is because they did this thing, their sales quota is lower. And if they have 10K in the startup, go for 10K in startup like Brady did, right? 10K in startup means guess what? Your numbers are exceptionally lower. Capiche? Bucky, Shay, Patrick, Jesse, Kenzie, and myself, we don't know what our numbers are.
I know, I'm not.
We still don't know. So this is a Cabo thing. I still don't know what they are yet. Okay. Did I mention we're going to Cancun? Did I say that? Okay. Check that out. Oh, by the way, Chichen Itza is right nearby. So if you took a day off and you wanted to spend the money and go take a big long drive, about 90-minute drive away, and then do this whole tour and then a 90-minute drive home, one of the 2 days that we're there for the full day. You could do that. I did that with my daughter and my son-in-law there. But we were there in Chichen Itza. You know, I think, you know, we saw, you know,
I don't know.
anyway, I was gonna say something about Abinadi and whatever. Okay, so all right. So King Noah and all the things. Okay. All right, so there you have it, guys. The winter break program, I want you guys to recognize. I was supposed to do effects here, but there are 2 parts of winter break. We got 3 minutes. We'll get done as quick as we can, guys. We got RITA and we got CPO. There's 4 ways to master recruiting, right? RITI, recruiting is the answer. If you didn't know RITA, recruiting is the answer. One is the top 50 list program that I just talked about, where you guys supply that list. We're going to help you get your friends on the team. They're going to sell Cutco. That checks a box for you to go on a trip to Cancun. And I'm not kidding. Y'all look pale. You all go. When you win it as there's certain ways fast starters can go for free, but managers pay. But anyone that qualifies, you pay part of it. And there was some slides that showed you can go for free. The higher push totals, you can go for free. Okay. Yeah. So once again, I got to keep moving because we're right at 1 o'clock here, guys. 1 is your top 50 list. Remember, we're going to help you qualify for the trip to Cancun and check in that box of the team builder box, right? And then you save for startup and you sell and you get to go to the Cancun. Secondly, SMRA, right? SMRA, that's another element of how does Logan, their office, succeed at a high level. And this is how we win silver cups, guys, because we adopted certain things. And for the last few years, we've been beating most of the offices in the company. We got to elevate our performance when it comes to social media. So both SMRA and putting up a post, both of those things are absolutely growth on top of our already strong, in fact, quite strong. In fact, the whole company wants to be us strong PR program, but social media recruiting assistance and putting up a post program. And then finally, we'll be going on campus more than we do in October, right? That's the recruiting methods of how we win. We'll get natural applications from mailers that we'll send. We'll get natural applications that we get from the web and other things. But these are the active sources that we absolutely will be crushing in the next few weeks. And then when it comes to, and hear this loud and clear, Bucky, Patrick, Jesse, the way that all offices win is they knock out of the park 2, 3, or 4 of these 4 things. So offices that do well in December and January probably rock 2 of these 4. People that do really well get 3 of these 4. And the offices that absolutely go into February 2 times, 3 times the competition, they knock all these 4 out of the park. They get a good show to training during those 3 seminars. They get a great launch from training during those 3 seminars because they're big seminars. They get really great first weekend and fast start pop. And then the MITs in the office, the people that are going after the push, who have their friends in the training seminars, they sell Cutco and the push goes well. And if an office does 2 of those, they have a good December, January. Great is 3, and amazing, lights out. No one can even comprehend how great you are, is all 4. This slide literally could make 2026 for everybody here. And I want district managers to hear that loud and clear. Because you start December and January with a huge bang. The next 11 months are just on fire. I can say that because 2 of the last 3 years, and again, we've been number 2, and then we're going to be number 1 this year. And at least 2 of the last 3 years, that's what's happened for us. I'm saying it didn't even perfectly go well, and we still made the next 12 months amazing. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up with this, a little recognition. And again, if you are at an 8 or better, if you're like, dude, I don't know why I'm farting around here, I'm just writing my dang letter. If you're an 8, when you think about next summer, and I'm talking to people that went to Olean in particular, so Peyton and Parker and those of you that got a chance to go to Olean, Connor and Bree and everybody else. And even if you're in this room and you're like, you know what, I'm low on the totem pole right now, but I think I should run a branch because I want to go to Rome. And you know what, I want to do what Kenzie just said. Okay, what she said. Okay, if you're at an 8 or better on next summer, just dude, I don't know what else I see myself doing. And if I saw myself doing that, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather do this than just write your dang letter. We'll get you ready. I don't care if you're at $6,000 in sales right now. We'll get you ready. Okay. To run a great branch. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the little, recognition. I'll give you assignments and we'll be out of here. Okay. So this is what we have currently in the division right now. With money in startup, Abby's at $9,000 saved. Gwyneth is at $6,500. Kenzie Smith at $3,700. Okay, McKenna Truax is almost $3,000. Anthony's at $3,000. Kenzie just bought a ring. He just bought an engagement ring. Okay, Kenzie's at $2,100. Parker's at $2,000, brother. That's pretty exciting. Ethan's at $1,750. Staley, Connor right there. Bree, $1,400. We got people unfortunately not here on spring break or fall break things. Trace and Peyton and Calvin. Trace is at a bike race for his brother. Brinley, not bad, almost at 1,000. We got some people continuing to save. So let's keep that going. Quick review, guys. Year-end banquet and then the trip to Cancun. Year-end banquet. Last 2 days of January, first 4 days of February are in Cancun. So it's Chicago, Cancun. And then remember, 4 weeks from today, 28 days from now, we have our next prep. And then another like 32 days or something like that. From that to that is the December meeting. Okay, guys? And so just want to review that. And for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and say we're good. We're good on that. Action steps real quick. Make sure those dates are in your calendar, not just on a screenshot. So the 15th of what? November and December, essentially, right? 15th of November and December. There's a major, TLA on Monday, the 15th of December, but then the next morning is a push period prep, getting you guys ready for the push period for Cancun. Script the interview. Oh, this is a darn misprint. I forgot to do that. You have 2 weeks from today. Wrong date listed. Today's the day, right? But 2 weeks from today is the 1st, right? So 2 weeks from now, some of you guys are old enough to know what movie that is. Bucky's old enough, okay, to know what movie that is, but he may not know that movie. Okay. Selling and saving. Get to 5K and get to 10K. Remember, if you get to 5K in startup, Kenzie Ritter, get to 5K in startup, Bree. Get to 5K in startup, you got an easier path to go to Mexico, right? You might as well do it now when it's harder, right? So that it's easier later, right? All right. Cancun, right? And let's grow through fire. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for being here. It's been an awesome day. Give yourselves a round of applause. Okay. Thank you all for the extra 4 or 6 minutes here. And we will